Old school Pokemon here, back again with PokeFlipz podcast, episode number 41. Joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How are we doing today, Dan?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Old school Pokemon. Sorry, Z and G. We're a minute late today. Old school Pokemon here. Back again
Is that your end? we got the patented echo intro. There we go. So yeah, this week we have no questions from the last episode. No questions were left in the last episode with the green shiz. And on that note, just up front before we forget it, we do want to announce our special guest for 2 weeks from today. Nick, if you want to go ahead with that.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from today, it'll be right after the Denver Collecticon. So I'm sure we'll be talking about Collecticon quite a bit. And we're going to be having the Old Card Shop on as a special guest for that episode. He's going to be one of the people vending with us in Denver. So it'll be a fun chat with him. I met him in Long Beach for the first time. And really cool guy. I actually just did a podcast on his channel back a couple days ago, so be sure to check that one out if you guys are interested. But he'll be our special guest. Looking forward to that one. You've never met him, have you?
I've not met him in person.
You did a podcast with him.
Yep, I was on his channel. I've not met him in person yet. Very excited. One of the top ones on my list that I'm excited to meet for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And as always, once this live is complete and posted as a video, if you want to leave any comments for Josh specifically or for us in the next episode, leave those in the comments section once this video is up. But as of right now, if you have questions for Nick and I, leave them in the live chat, because we're going to just be hanging out with the live chat the whole time. I'm sure we'll get into some questions that lead to several minutes of conversation amongst us, but we'll periodically be checking back in with the live chat, and we'll try to hit everything as we go.
Sounds like a plan. Did you have any topics you wanted to start us off with?
I think Dark Lava Lizard has a good one right here. That's kind of the way the questions go. They usually hit on the relevant topic of the moment, and then that just spurs the discussion. So Dark Lava Lizard asks, I need to know what Dan thinks about the $15 PSA TCG special and how many he is sending. So you knew it was going to come up. Big news for anyone who didn't see yet. Dropped it's weird because the news didn't even drop. It just kind of like snuck in there. And basically, PSA, is there an expiration date? Did you see? I think it just shows.
I did not see one.
Like I didn't see it called a monthly special or a quarterly special. I didn't see it say this is open till this time. One thing that I kind of like about that is if they get inundated by it, if a tsunami comes in, which I'll get to it, but I don't think it will. I think they'll pull it. So I don't think they're committed to saying this is open all of October, this is open all of 2022. If and when they get too many submissions, they'll pull it. But another thing that I don't believe it included was an estimated turnaround time. The 30s and the 18s that we got back in July, and the 30s that are still active, those have all come with 150-day, I believe, estimated turnaround time. These ones, they're not estimating one, which is a little nerve-wracking maybe. But we've heard of 18s coming back. You've gotten a couple 18s back. Anyways, to get, I guess, stop laying the foundation, but to get to the actual question, I probably have 500 to 1,000 that I will intend to send, but I'm going to take it pretty slowly. So I sent out 700 at 18, and at the time I mentioned I probably have 1,000 to 2,000 to send. So the remainder of those, like I obviously, if I could have sent them at 18, I'm happy to send them at 15. I mean, happier. That said, I do think that in the next several months, who's to say we don't see 12, 11. I mean 10. I mean if we see 10, then I lose the bet to James, which might happen. But yeah, I think the route that I'm gonna take is just sending like 100 next week, and then maybe sending 200 a month, something like that. Like, long have I wanted to get into an equilibrium, a steady state where I have no backlog, where I'm fully caught up with everything, and I just send out 200 cards a month to PSA, send out 200 cards a month to CGC, and then as I get them back, I list them, I sell them, and just get to like an equilibrium where what's coming in is going out. You know what I'm saying? Like not have this massive backlog, and so that's my goal. That's where I want to get. And with the $15, it's going to be like 100 next week before Denver, and then maybe 200 a month thereafter. What about you?
Yeah, I pretty much have the same thoughts on that one. I won't be able to get anything out this week, next week, or the following week. So depending on how many submissions PSA gets as part of that $15 special, I don't know if I'll be able to send anything off. If they keep it open for a couple months or at least a month, I'll be able to get some cards out. But at the same time, if I don't get any cards out at 15, it's not a huge deal because they have the $18 tier. That $3 isn't a huge difference for me. But yeah, right now I'm not in a rush to get any cards out like I was for the $18 July special. I sent all of my good cards off during that time period. So now it's going back into boxes that need to get sorted out and actually finding cards to send off to PSA. I still have a decent bit of like WotC bulk, Shadowless, first edition commons and uncommon stuff like that, but that'll all be for later down the road when we get to $10-ish per card.
Yeah. Let me. I got a couple highlights, comments to highlight. James says, I'm going to lose that $10 bet way sooner than he thought. So
yes, you are.
Definitely possible. It is. I honestly still think it's a coin flip. If you had asked me 2 or 3 months ago, I think I would have said it was a coin flip. For anyone who doesn't know, I bet James. I think my side is a PSA 10 Unlimited Pikachu from Jungle, and maybe mine's an Eevee and his is a Pikachu. Whatever it is, it's the price of the bet, the value of the bet goes down every day because whatever card we bet is like one of those bad cards that keeps getting cheaper and cheaper. But anyways, I bet that we won't see. I need to look back at the terminology, and I need to find the screenshot that I saved somewhere on my computer. I might have said sub $10. So like if $10 opens, I might win by a cent. I need to look whether I said $10 grading or sub $10 grading, because semantics are very important for that. But I bet that either 10 or sub 10 won't be open by the end of 2023. So not until 2024 or later would we see 10 or sub $10 grading. 15 sounds close to 10. 15 is certainly way closer to 10 than is 30. But we could be in this scenario where inflation, whatever, or just PSA might have no incentive. Like if you're grading 12 million cards a year at 15, do you really have any incentive to go to 20 million cards a year at 8 or 9 when the net profit might be the same or slightly higher, doing less for more money? And then you might also help prop up the market in some respects too. Like if PSA just starts grading for $5 a card, 25 million, 30 million cards a year, a lot more cards are going to go a lot lower in price a lot quicker. So PSA might have some vested interest. They're never going to say this. They would never say that. But I mean, to some extent, the more plastic they put out on the market for too cheap, the less they're going to submit. I mean, they're going to cannibalize their own future business to some extent if they put out too much plastic. So Dan already doing the lawyer speak, shaking my head. No, I mean, I made the bet. If I lose, I will fully pay up, but What's your thought on that? Do you see, like, I see a realistic scenario that the new floor for grading could be $11, $12. I mean, it could be $10. Again, I forget if I said sub 10. 10 might win it for me. Maybe it's either $9.99 or 10 is the cutoff, but I forget.
No, I think we'll definitely get back down to 10. I think they almost need to in order to stay not like stay relevant, but in order to stay competitive with CGC and to a lesser extent BGS. So I do think it'll happen. I think it's only beneficial for them. I can't see them caring as much about the aftermarket pricing just because they're already making their money. So yeah, I definitely do think we'll see a time sometime next year where they do get back down to $10. Hopefully it'll be earlier in the year than later in the year, but we'll see on that.
I just tried searching really quickly in Discord to see if I could find it, but yeah, I don't know exactly where it is. I'll have to find it and screenshot it, but 10 or sub 10. Let me know, James, if you screenshotted it or if you remember. But Mr. Walrus
Hopefully
says
it says 10 because I don't think we'll get down to sub 10. I think $10 will be the new price point. And I know PSA, they don't do that whole 99-cent thing.
That's what I was going to say.
$9.99.
Historically speaking, it's like $7.50 or it's $8 or it's $9 or it's $10. It doesn't really go $9.99, $9.75. Like, I don't think I've ever seen probably it's happened since I've been in the hobby, but like 25, 75s, 99s, those aren't really things. Usually it's 50 cents or $1. So
yeah,
maybe as I made the bet, I was paying enough attention that I thought luck was that I thought I was going to be right because I said sub 10. Maybe I had that trick up my sleeve, but I don't know. But Mr. Walrus says, are all chemical engineers finicky on wagers? I'm not being finicky at all. However it was written in that Discord chat is how I'm going to take it literally, not finicky, not like objectively, how it was written. If I lose, I will pay. I mean, that's the way I am. Man of my word. I made a bet. So if I lose, I'll pay gladly. I'll probably make a post about it. I'll talk about it in a video. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's a nice thing because like if I lose the bet, I now have access to 10 or sub $10 grading. So it's like I lose but I win. And then if I win, it's like, oh man, I gotta pay more for grading, but at least I beat James. So I'm gonna win a little bit either way. I hedged my bets and I'm gonna win something one way or the other. We do have some other questions. One other thing, too, that I just wanted to touch on quickly while we're talking about PSA's floor price. I constantly find it funny how for the past several months, like every time PSA drops or talks about dropping their price, people are like, okay, when's CGC dropping? Like that's always the next, okay, when's CGC dropping? In the past 6 months, not only has CGC not dropped, they've actually increased their prices. During this time that everyone's like, oh, they've got to drop. They're literally doing nothing. If you look at the data over on GemRate, they're still doing something. They're still grading a lot of cards. They're not grading 12 million a year, but they're grading over 1 million a year with their current pace for TCG. So I do think that we are getting close. If this one isn't that pushes it over the edge, I do think we'll see a slight decrease coming from CGC. But like how confident everyone is that it's definitely happening this time and then repeatedly being wrong has been pretty funny to me. Do you think CGC will immediately lower their price in the next couple weeks or couple months, or where do you see CGC going with it?
I think they're going to stay consistent with their price just because they have much faster turnaround times. So as long as they can have those turnaround times that are 2-3 weeks at max, I think they're going to keep their bulk pricing just because even though... So like right now, PSA and CGC under the TCG special are about the same price. Obviously, if you have the more expensive CGC membership, you get 20% off. But if you're just submitting as a regular member to either one of them, they're both $15 a card. But CGC, you're going to be getting those cards back in 2-3 weeks, Where with PSA, probably not going to be getting those cards back anytime this year. It'll probably be sometime next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people really undervalue the quick turnaround times. That said, I've seen people getting their CGCs back in a week or two still. I have one that's coming up on a month now, and I'm not going to have it back for Denver, it looks like. Which is, it's not a huge one. It's only 45 cards. But it had some Masakis. It had some screen promos. It had some things that I thought would do well at Denver, and I'm just not going to have it. And I'm still in that spot where I have over 1,000 cards out at PSA through Ludkin. So yeah, that whole... Is it with the middleman? Is it with PSA? That whole conversation. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think CGC can survive charging the same price as PSA. And PSA will, if PSA is always going to just have a 3 to 6 month turnaround time, and CGC just wants to live with a 2 week to 6 week turnaround time, I think they can get away with charging the same price. A lot of people value the case more. A lot of people are collecting just the card, and they're fine having that blue label with that ultra clear case. And like me as a collector, everything else aside, I like the CGC case a lot more. And if I had to just have a card in my collection forever, much rather have it in a CGC case. So from a completely consumer side, collector, never sell, I would only grade with CGC if and when I had to like just choose one of them. So then there's the whole thing with the authenticity guarantee and all that, and they've got some amount of their labor going towards that. Whatever else they might be doing, some amount of their manpower they might be diverting from the trading card area. They're going to be doing the video game soon, so they might just be happy 100,000 a month, million-ish a year, living in that range. And I don't think they're necessarily going to go back to $6 a card, $7 a card like they were when they first opened.
Yeah, no, I cannot see that happening.
Let me make sure I don't miss any questions. So Mr. Walrus asks, when you started doing YouTube more, did you ever think you'd have an audience tuning in weekly? Never. Nope. It's still crazy. We are very, very small channels. Good time to shout it out. Nick, you got a point because I can't. Can you point to the subs below you? We do have on screen now. I mean, you can't point right to it, but you're pointing in the direction. So we do have the subs on screen.
See if I am.
Nick and I are pretty small channels by ourselves. This podcast channel, given how many views we get on each episode, very, very small sub count. So if you don't mind, if you haven't yet, feel free to pump up that number you see in the bottom right, because that is a live sub count if I did it correctly. But yeah, a year and a half ago when I started my channel, we just lost the sub. So it is working. It is a live sub count. Always, anytime you mention a live sub count, the number always goes backwards. So good to see that it's working and I set it up properly. But yeah, a year and a half ago, if you would have told me I post videos that get between 500 and 2,000 views, and I have a podcast with one of my real close friends, and we talk every other week, sometimes live on YouTube, and 50 people are watching us right now. And 2 weeks from now, when this is posted and up, we get like 2,000 views an episode. That's mind-blowing, like to me, still today. It's nowhere near PokeRev numbers or Unlisted Leaf numbers, but it's still like substantial. I live in a very small town. I went to a very small school. We get more people watching our podcast every couple weeks than I went to high school with, K through 12. Well, not high school, K through 12. K through 12, my entire school was like 1,000 people. So
what?
Yeah.
How many people were in your class?
I graduated with 89, and I was one of the slightly bigger grades. And now, where I went to high school, I think the class sizes are like in the low 60s, so they've gotten a bit smaller.
Man.
Yeah.
I had like 380 people in my graduating class. So under 100, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine that.
Where I live now, I think, like, my son just started pre-K. I think he'll graduate with closer to 200. Kind of a slightly larger school for my area, which is good because then, like, where I went to high school, we had like 2 or 3 choices for AP classes. Very, very small, like, academic course load or not course availability. So I think it's a better school as far as like they'll have access to more classes if they want to go into those types of things. But yeah, what about you? Like anything to add on viewership, where you're at on your YouTube?
Yeah, no, I pretty much feel the same way. I never expected to really have any subscribers on YouTube. We've talked about it a while ago, but my original goal for YouTube was always to just kind of have like documentation, like video documentation of different collections that I bought over the years, so that I could go back and look at those. Because for a long time I was buying a lot of stuff and I don't have anything to remember that stuff by. So I thought it would be cool to make videos kind of documenting different collections that I bought and just stuff like that. Never thought that I would actually gain subscribers and start making different videos about selling on eBay and all that stuff. And then even today, I'm still blown away that people actually watch my videos and seem to enjoy them, at least. I'm definitely my own worst critic on YouTube. I cannot stand my own videos. And then even like recording them, it used to be a lot worse, where I would like get into my own head, and I'm always one to like record a whole video and then upload it onto YouTube. Very little, if any, type of editing. So when I'm recording videos, I would get into my head and record a part of the video and then say, oh, shoot, I messed up. I meant to talk about this, so I would restart from the beginning. And there were times where I would do that like 5 to 10 times, record a whole video to get that one take that was decent. So yeah, the fact that people actually watch my videos and seem to enjoy them is awesome. Absolutely love that.
I think there's only been 1, maybe 2 times that I didn't post a video to YouTube, and there's only been 1 or 2 times that I ever did like a retake. One time I remember, like way back over a year ago, when my whole setup was different and I just had the framing really bad and stuff wasn't even on screen that I thought was on screen, and I had it set up in a way where I couldn't even see like my phone screen to see what was on. So and then other times it was like really bad audio issues. But these days it's like I record through OBS now, which is just way cleaner and easier. I click record. Yeah. I record a quick 2-second thing, mic check, make sure it's gonna like actually get my sound. As I'm recording, I just keep an eye. I make sure I see the green bars moving and I know that I'm getting audio. That's a nice thing about OBS. You get the visual feedback. I literally start recording, do my whole video. I have brief notes. I usually have on the second screen, I have like hit this point, hit this point, hit this point. Sometimes when I'm done recording, it's like, man, I missed that one. I always just send it. Like I do not re-record videos. I like talking about the things, like the preparation that goes into a video, doing it. But like the 1 or 2 times that I had a technical difficulty that made me have to re-record, I just hate the process of saying the same things I just said. Cause then that's when I get into my head. If I do it once, it's like I do it and I put out what I did. If I do it a second time, I'm thinking as I'm saying it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I worded it better the first time. Now, like, so if I ever try to do a second time, I need to stop myself because I will. So it's one and done. Whatever I do on the first one, that's it. And
the other thing that, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's the way I have to be. Like that's what's great about live videos too. It's like, I mean, I guess it's bad if you really screw something up because it's there, but it's great because like there's no opportunity to like, hey, let's start over, let's scratch that, do it again.
Yeah. The other downside to recording multiple attempts is I'll always like, so record the first video and then start recording the redo of that video, and then it's like, okay, I talked about this point. Did I talk about that earlier in the video, or was that the first take that I did that? So I'm always concerned, like I'm repeating myself like 10 times throughout a video.
That's another thing I ran into. The couple times that I've done it, it's like Yeah, deja vu you're getting because you're literally doing the same thing over. And I don't know how people do it. Like to hear you say that you did 10 takes, my mind would be so broken by then. It's like, what did I say when? I have no idea. Like I could never do it. No way. But yeah, that was a good question. Thanks, Mr. Walrus.
Yeah, that's your only question, Mr. Walrus. No more,
Yeah.
no more 20 questions.
Yeah, we got a cap, Mr. Walrus.
No.
It's like one question per person per hour. Maybe we'll have to run with it if Mr. Walrus gets too crazy with him. The Ancient Mew asked, "Do you like the Radiant cards better than the Amazing Rares?" I personally like the Amazing
Ooh.
Rares better. I really like that layout, that coloration. It's kind of an unfair comparison because I wasn't opening a ton during that era either, but I did personally open more Amazing Rares than Radiant cards because like I haven't opened anything lately, really. Maybe I'm a little bit biased towards Amazing Rares as well because I opened some more personally. What about you?
Yeah, I would pretty much agree with you. I like the Amazing Rares. Overall, the Amazing Rares beats out the Radiant cards. I will say I do really like the Pokemon Go Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur Radiant cards. I think those are really cool. But the other Radiant cards, I'm really not a fan of those. So overall, I would have to go with the Amazing Rares. I also like the concept of it just being those 9 cards for the Amazing Rare set, where it's not something that's going to be repeated and repeated for whoever knows or who knows how long. I kind of like the idea of it just being that little small subset. Plus the artwork overall, I do like those better.
I should have grabbed this
Steven
one.
knows what's up.
Yeah, I did throw his comment up there. I should have grabbed this one while we were still talking about grading. I didn't notice it. James says, so you have 500 to 1,000, you're sending at 15. How many once it goes to 10? It's so hard because part of it is dependent on turnaround time, obviously. But
Mhm.
fairly conservatively, at $9 or $10, I probably have 10,000 cards I could send. It's crazy once you start getting to 10 or less than $10 because so many 9s are still selling for 15 to 25 bucks. It's getting back to that scenario where a few years ago when I was grading, you'd grade 9s for a break even and you'd grade 10s for profit. The main things that I have that would be like comprising that 10,000 cards, one, it would be like ultra modern promos as they come out. I would just funnel a handful of those in, the really cleanest examples, looking for high 10 rates. But I still have 1,000 Pack Fresh Mint Topps Chrome cards that I pulled myself. I still have 1,000 other die cut, all those like fancy Topps cards from like series 1, 2, 3, the die cut animation cards, the movie evolution ones. I've got a lot of the reverse hollow movie 2000. Those cards, what those are selling for, the more niche things, those are still selling for very profitable prices in PSA 9 and 10. Slow, but profitable. Too high, in my opinion, a lot of those things. And I have a lot of those I could grade. I also still have a ton of PSA, well, would be PSA 9 and 10 WotC first edition commons and uncommons. The 9s are getting borderline where they'd be punishing, especially if you're tying them up. But cards that are $1 or $2 raw, I could sell them through Evo, $1 or $2 raw, or I could grade them with PSA, and I could sell a 9 for 18 to 20 bucks, and I could sell a 10 for, some of these 10s are still $60 to $150. I'm talking like PSA 10 Erica's Bulbasaur. It is like $120 or $130 card in PSA 10. I probably have 10 of those raw, and I probably have 10 of every card from that set raw. And some of them are going to be like, oh yeah, that's 8 or less, that's Troll and Toad. But if it's a 9-10 chance, like that's how I come up with 10,000 cards, because I have monster boxes of Pack Fresh cards that I opened years ago. And I haven't done it yet personally, but I might start doing it at some point. Mid-era starters, like Squirtle from Heart Gold Soul Silver sets, Pikachu from Platinum and Diamond and Pearl sets, literally the common cards what some of those cards do, it's not like super sexy. You're not gonna make crazy money with it, and they're gonna be slow movers. But a lot of those cards are still selling for very, very profitable numbers. Yeah, so I have a lot I could send. What about you at 10
Yeah,
or 9?
I'm the same way. At $9-10, that's when I would send all my WotC bulk. I did just recently go through it, and I basically held on to anything that was 9+, and then 8 and below I listed on eBay. So kind of sort of getting ready for that. But I think I have one full 5-row monster box full of Shadowless, and then another one full of first edition jungle, mainly jungle, a ton of jungle, and then fossil through Neo Destiny. So I have a bunch of those that I would look into sending. Probably start off with the more popular ones. Take a closer look through them. Try and fine tune it so you're getting majority 10s and few 9s.
Non-hollows are fairly easy. Non-hollows are easier to do that. Much easier. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you're just looking at the centering and then whiteness on the back.
Yep. Yeah. So in the way, like functionally, the way that I would do that, as I said with 15, I am not sending 500 card submissions. I'm not sending like 1 or 2 500 card submissions. I'm going to send 100 next week-ish, and I'm going to try to send 200-ish a month thereafter. So if and when we get 10, if I lose the bet, if we get 10 or 950 in early mid next year, I would not send 10,000 cards in a month. I would not send 5,000 cards in a month even. I would probably send something like 200 cards a week for the first few weeks, and then I would slowly, like I would send the best stuff first just in case it ends up closing, if it ends up going away, and I would find an equilibrium. Again, long term, eventually I want to get to where just an equilibrium. I'm selling and shipping 20 PSA cards a day while I'm submitting 600 PSA cards a month to get that equilibrium. Same ins as in matching my ins and outs is essentially where I want to be. And then with slow growth over time too. I mean, slowly scaling that up.
Mm-hmm.
But never, like, I saw the writing on the wall at the end of 2020, and a lot of people did too. I chucked out 10,000 cards in a span of a few months. The only reason I was capable of doing that was middlemen. It sucks how they're taking so much longer on the back end to get them back, but I'm still going to be ahead having gotten them through. Some of them, if hindsight, I would go back and I would remove some of them. Some I sent to CGC, I would send to PSA instead. But yeah, like moving ahead, I think PSA will be more intelligent with the way that they handle what tiers are open. And that's why I think this 15 came out with no time frame. I think if the 15 gets swamped for 2 or 3 weeks, I think they'll pull it. And I think they'll go back to 30, or I mean, right now sports has 18 as well. So they'll pull those and they'll go back to 22 or to 25 or 30. So yeah, like it's not going to be just a tidal wave from me personally, unless everyone I hear is saying, like, say they come out with 9 in February and everyone's talking about sending maybe I will just chuck out 5,000 cards in a month before they close again. I don't think we'll get there. I hope we don't.
I don't think we will now that PSA is grading so many cards every month.
And the prices are down a lot too.
Yeah, that too for sure. And I don't even think we'll reach a point where, I think we could possibly reach a point where they stop the TCG special, but I don't think we'll reach a point where they stop the $18 per card bulk tier and raise pricing on that. I think a lot of people sent a lot of cards at $18, and so now there's not as many cards that are going to be going out at 18.
Yeah. So Mr. Walrus coming back in. I think he's exceeding his 1 question per hour rate. But good question though. Beckett moving into VHS tapes, CGC video games. Does PSA need to enter more markets to stay competitive, or is acquiring other companies the answer? I will say that PSA just announced Funko Pop grading. Did you see that?
I thought they've been doing Funko Pop grading.
I think only signed ones. I think they're doing
Oh,
grading
okay.
and signatures now. They'll do either. Um, this might be a super hot take, but not everything needs to be encapsulated in plastic and have an have a condition rarity aspect attributed to it. That like that's the way. Like these companies are brilliant because they know human psychology. They know the way
Mhm.
things work. When I own something that everyone else owns, it's like I can't do anything with that. It doesn't feel good. So slap it in a hunk of plastic and throw a number on it and then publish a pop report so that people can point at it and say, I'm one of 10 in the world. I'm one of 100 in the world who own this card, this pop, this VHS, in this grade. To me, it's all absurd. It's not not a surprising uh statement for people who know me and know my takes around grading and all that, but it's fascinating though how good of a job these companies do getting people to pay so many multiples of an item's value just because it's supposedly a couple less dots of whitening or a couple less this or that. It's fascinating. Um and that's not me yucking people's yums. That's just me. I'm not in that spot. I don't get it. I'm not in that. I guess I don't have enough money to warrant me. I'm more of a quantity over quality guy, I guess. Yeah, I'm not gonna go deeper than that. But what do you think?
I I think grading overall makes sense. I neither of us would be here if it weren't for grading. It definitely makes it a valuable business and a lot easier to sell. So, and then plus personally, um, I do like the concept of graded, them authenticating a third party opinion on the actual grade. It just makes things a lot simpler. And then I can see grading within other collectibles. Obviously, I'm only in Pokemon. Do a little bit with coins as well, but both of those hobbies, grading is absolutely massive. So why not other hobbies? I think that does make sense. But as far as like the question, Mr. Walrus, PSA entering more markets to stay competitive. I almost think PSA has like a massive advantage over BGS and CGC just because of how long they've been established in the grading of sports cards, TCGs, all that stuff. So I think it'll definitely help PSA expand their business getting into other markets. But I think if PSA just stuck with grading cards, I think they would do just fine.
I highlighted James' comment, Dan sending in vivid voltage packs for grading, shaking my head. If they start grading sitting cuties, you know I'm grading sitting cuties. That's the thing though, like people collect plushes, people collect beer steins, people collect so many things. Does every collectible like these sitting cuties, they probably make 100,000 of each. If not, like I have no idea how many they actually make. Some Charmanders, if you look stitch by stitch, some Charmanders' eyes are a little bit crooked or off center. Does it actually matter? To me, no. Like, not like I understand. I've reiterated this point so many times, so many different ways. But like, I understand the benefit of grading. I benefit from it greatly as far as a third party independent opinion. This card is approximately near mint. This card is approximately mint. Whatever. I get it. But the absurd values that people put on the differences of one extra white dot or one perceived extra white dot. You know what I'm saying? Like it just I don't get it. Right now, as let me go back to Mr. Walrus's VHS tapes, video games, cards, coins, when are we gonna do plushes? When are we gonna do beer steins? Like, why don't we just do every single thing that any person in the world collects anywhere And like, I don't understand why things 10x or 50x in price from the raw value. Like, okay, a sitting cutie's $14. If you have a top 1% sitting cutie, the most centered eyes and the best stitching and not a loose stitch somewhere, are you going to pay $150 for it? I'm not, but I'll grade it and I'll sell it for $150. Same thing as a Vivid Voltage pack. Like, are you really going to pay $150? And this is this is where I'm going to get myself into trouble, because I'm not trying to yuck people's yums, but I mean, and I'm talking some to my own eBay customers. But I think it's great that a Vivid Voltage pack brings you that much extra joy that you are fine parting $150 from it. But that is just so far from me. That is so far from me. I don't remotely understand it from the consumer side. I hope, I pray it is not an investment. I hope it's just that 10 is a round big number that makes my brain happy, and I'm a collector and no thoughts on future value. If those things are investment purchases, it's like, whew, scary. But yeah, I
think that's the vast, like we're not in the vast majority of people buying this stuff. I think the vast majority of people are outside of like your super high end stuff, like your Vivid Voltage packs for 150. That sounds absolutely absurd to us. But I think to your normal person purchasing those, it's a cool little display piece. So I think that's the majority of people purchasing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and people spend money. People spend a lot of money on a lot of different silly things. Like, to me, like, I'll go out to a dinner. When you visited, we both left some money at the blackjack tables, which was really silly, and we have nothing to show for it. We both went and we had like a steak dinner that was $100-something a piece. Like, some people would take their Vivid Voltage PSA 10 pack and they would say, look, I have this pack, $150. I have it forever. Pikachu's my favorite Pokemon. Yep. Vivid Voltage is my favorite set. They're going to cherish that and enjoy it forever. That's great. Like, I'm not trying to yuck yums. If it's bought for that reason, I would rather buy the $150 dinner and then have nothing to show for it a week later, but still remember like how good that dinner was. And everyone values different things differently, and that's great. Like, that is great about people within the space, outside of the space. Like, we all just value things differently. What scares me though is, like, I do think more than a reasonable amount of these people are doing it somehow with future value in mind. And I think that if and when they start grading sitting cuties, and I start selling PSA 10 sitting cutie Charmanders for $150, I'm gonna do it, but it's a little scary.
What was the Beanie Baby thing? There was I remember there was, I don't know if it was grading, but there was some company that would like either just like authenticate
verify, or
yeah, there was I don't think it was grading.
It was a lady who would just authenticate them, I think. That's and she'd write a little certificate. Oh yeah, the Beanie Baby documentary they did.
Yeah.
If you look back at look at Beanie Babies for one. If and when they start grading sitting cuties and the prices start going nuts, like, it's gonna feel a lot like Beanie Babies because they're not far off Beanie Babies. That'll be scary. But look at what coins did in the 80s. These companies do not have your best interest in mind. These companies have their financials in mind, which you can't fault them for. I have my financials in mind when I sell a PSA 10 Vivid Voltage pack for $150. The thing is, I'm not selling it as an investment. I'm not a huge investment firm that is marketing these things as investments, that is buying the grading company, buying the auction house, pumping everything on social media, better than the S&P 500. That stuff is all gross. That stuff is all gross. And yeah, to me, like, all this grading that they're doing, they're just sitting in boardrooms. How can we take more money from our consumers? How can we extract out more money? That's what it's all about. And it's
that's what all companies are about.
But if you do it, like, to me, obviously I'm biased towards me. What I'm doing is right. What everyone else is doing is wrong. That's the way that people are going to be. Like, I'm literally actively speaking out towards these things as investments. If you have the money and if you want to buy it as a consumer and you want to consider that money spent, if you want to trade money for the good that I'm selling, I'm going to be the cheapest on eBay. That's why I'm fine with it. That's how I sleep at night. But these companies that own PSA, that own Golden, that own all of these together, they're literally doing all this marketing. This is an investment better than the S&P 500. They're taking your money at grading. They're taking your money on the sale. And they're like, they're quoting prices that weren't real, sales that didn't happen. It's really, really, and yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of scary, but it is what it is. It's a reality. So it's weird too with like how far we are behind chat, because like once we're done with this question, we'll go through several more, and then in like 45 minutes we're gonna hit the chat from when we were answering this question. So we'll be like pulled back into this question in 45 minutes. Anything else to add on that one, or?
No, I think we covered that one pretty good.
Beat that dead horse into the ground pretty good.
I think so.
Pop Tart 916, given that you both frequent conventions and are kept busy from your online businesses, do either of you ever try to hit local card game shops, whether it's to find a deal or just to browse? I'll let you go first on that one.
I don't have anything near me. There was one card shop that was near me when I first was starting out selling on eBay, and I actually did a lot of business with them because they were getting out of Pokemon. And just focusing on Magic. So I would go in every month or two and buy something from them. I remember I would buy like WotC booster boxes, ton of single cards. And back then pricing was so much cheaper. So it'd be $100, $200, and then sell that on eBay, go back the next month, whatever. But nowadays, I don't have a single card shop near me that sells Pokemon. There's closest one that I know of is like an hour away. So I never go to any type of local game stores to look around, find good deals or anything like that. I did more recently. I was doing flea markets, yard sales, stuff like that, looking for Pokemon. But even that was back a couple of years ago now at this point. So I don't really do that anymore either. Mainly just online and trying to keep up with everything that I have. We did go to Let's Play Collectibles for our trade night the other weekend, and they actually had a really cool shop. They had a good bit of variety of Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, different stuff out. So it was cool to see, like an actual card shop with a bunch of stuff laid out, and I thought that was pretty neat. But yeah, no, normally definitely not.
I was gonna shout out your event if you didn't. That's intended to be like a recurring thing, right? Like, have you talked about the frequency, or not really?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, we did the trade night last weekend at Let's Play Collectibles, and it went over really, really well. We probably had 25, 30 people stay throughout the entire event, we did 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So 25, 30 people stayed throughout the entire time, and then maybe 20, 25 more people came for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then left. We probably had 40 to 45 people in that room at once, which was a lot more than I was ever expecting. I was a little bit nervous that we wouldn't get anyone to come, but I was really excited about the actual turnout that we had. It went over really good. And so after that, we talked about doing these again on a kind of recurring theme, and we're definitely going to be planning these to do more of them in the future. We're thinking to do a couple every year with like one big event every year. But so far we're thinking our next one's going to be at some point next year. So we probably won't do any more in 2022 just because I know Jake and I have Denver, and Dan have Denver coming up next week, and then shortly after Denver we'll kind of be getting into the holiday season. So
yeah.
Got to be getting ready for that, and it's just going to get too busy. So we'll probably plan one for January, February of next year. Definitely want to wait until we hear the Collecticon schedule get announced, as we don't want to be planning our trade nights the same weekend as a Collecticon.
Winters in the Northeast are tough too. Like, you guys had to drive a few hours to get to where you went, right? Like if there ends
That's
up
true
being
too.
a big
Yeah, it's like an
snowstorm,
hour
that
and
could
a half.
really, yeah. Is it going to be at the same
Yeah, I didn't
place,
think about
or
that
are you
part.
gonna bounce around to different semi-local?
I think I think for now we're gonna keep it at the Let's Play store, just because they were really impressed by the turnout that we got there. The owner and the manager of that store said we were more than welcome to host more events there if we wanted to. And plus they were super friendly as well for offering us that space in general. And then they actually had a really nice space for us. Was a really big room, had uh, maybe like 15 6 foot tables, so really good space. Plenty of room for everyone. So we probably will do more of them there. And then, like I said, we're tentatively planning to do like a big event every year, and that'll probably be more like a hotel convention room.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, I do have a couple stores that are more local to me. I have one that's like 20 minutes in one direction and another that's 20 minutes the complete opposite direction. Very, very small though. Um, I've only stopped into them ever. Well, one I've never stopped into. It's actually like really close, right next to a brewery. So I've actually been to that brewery a couple times, sampled some of their offerings.
Where your priorities are.
Yeah, but it's in a good spot. Like I just was never there during a time when the game store was open. Otherwise, I would have wandered right over after on my way in or out. But
Mhm.
I do have like somewhere on a note on a to-do list that I've not yet gotten to. It's been in the back of my mind. I want to reach out to the owners of both. Like go there, meet them in person, just kind of like introduce myself, let them know that I'm local to them, kind of let them know what I do with my business, and see if there can be any mutually beneficial arrangements. Like, do they need some more graded inventory to offer in their store? Could they sell some of my stuff on like a consignment type deal? Is there
Yeah,
anything I
definitely.
can get through them? Like, can I use them if I'm ever in a pinch for supplies that I really need that day? Well, 20-minute drive is better than like going without something that I absolutely need to get something done that day. So, yeah, that's something that
Yep.
I've had on my mind to explore, but I've not yet done it. And part of it is like this backlog of mine. Theoretically, hopefully, I'll have this backlog done in the next few months, sometime maybe over the winter project, and then maybe that's something that I'll do in the spring, in the summer. But the pandemic made a lot of it weird too. I was trying to not go out and do too much with that, but so it's something that I do have access to two of them. I just need to go out and make that connection. And I will. I
Yep.
will one of these
Yep.
days. Maybe I'll do not again. My following is tiny. If I were to ever like take a 5 or 10 minute clip touring the game store and post it to my channel, I don't think I would generate one tiny bit. Like there's probably no one within driving radius that would watch that video. So
You met that person in the park.
it would still be an interesting thing though. Like, hey, here's my local game store. If you ever find yourself lost in upstate New York, be sure to stop in.
It's
It
so
would,
lost.
yeah. But yeah, that I like that question. That was a good one.
That was a good
Um,
one.
your average player asks if you'll be his lawyer because he said he loves listening to his tax advisor, accountant, and father figure, who I think he's calling me those things, and he wants you to be his lawyer.
Oh, I can definitely be your lawyer. I'm
There
I'm
you
good with
go.
that kind of stuff.
Hit up Nick. Slide into his DMs, and he'll give you some law advice.
Yeah, I used to love Law and Order, so I'm very rehearsed in that type of stuff.
There you go. He's watched many seasons of Law and Order. He knows all the terminology. Robert also thinks that 12 bucks will be the floor, similar to me. That's kind of where I would guess with PSA. John Doe asks,
Robert, you are wrong.
what do you think about Celebrations Charizard boxes being sold retail still on Walmart's site with new packs of Evolving Skies and Fusion? Are you expecting more Celebrations product to hit the market? One thing that I theorized, I forget where I was. Maybe it was in I was live on my channel yesterday. They might have
your live yesterday.
They might have printed X amount of Celebrations. They might have printed, okay, we want to print 1 billion cards, 2 billion cards of Celebrations, like 100 million packs, 200, whatever the number is. Well, no, four cards per pack, so it would be different. But anyways, they might have said like, hey, we want this set to be available the whole year. Not only that, like we want to include some future expansion. So they might have just allocated 60%, 80% to let's make these in boxes now for release, put them all out into the market. And then 6 months to a year later, we're a year later now, let's repackage the same products, have the promos, have the things set aside. Because what I've heard is the packs seem to be original production. The packs seem to be the old style, but the new packs with it are like Evolving Skies, a set that wasn't out yet, or Fusion Strike, a set that wasn't out yet. So yeah, they might have just held back 20% of their print run. Let's put this out a year later in different boxes just to like reinvigorate the supply down the line. That's a complete guess. That's a reasonable theory. But yeah, I mean, more is actively hitting the market right now. So will I expect more beyond this? No idea. No idea whatsoever.
I agree with you. I think it's they had everything printed. I don't think it was a purposeful let's hold on to this and then put it out later on. I think it was more so just someone walking through the warehouse, tripped over a box of Charizard jumbo cards with the promos and said, oh, we have some extras of these. Let's make some more boxes. Get rid of these. I don't think it was any like big intentional reprint of Celebrations. I think it was just more so they had it left over in a warehouse somewhere, and now they're just now releasing it. I would be very, very surprised if we ever saw like an actual Celebrations reprint where we were able to order from distribution Celebrations product again. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, it's complete speculation, but it's hard to say. It wouldn't be completely out of the realm. Like when they did Generations, they did like a year release. They did all the various pin collections from Mew on down through all the other mythical Pokemon. By design, that one was like across the year. Celebrations was more like dropped at once, maybe a couple waves, whatever. But then a year later, yeah, Mason, Cardinal Gaming, he had a video where he showed a clip, an image of a warehouse and double stacked pallets upon pallets upon pallets. Like they could lose dozens of pallets. They could reasonably lose like a lot of product. And Champion's Path recently had that rumor of restock, reprint. What is it? Like that was probably them just finding a couple pallets. It's crazy to think, but yeah, 9.1 billion cards printed in the span of a year. They can lose a couple 100 million of those surely. Because I used to work in a production environment, and the scale of what we used to do, and we used to have to do inventories, and we would misplace. And we were only 120,000 square foot warehouse. We weren't like we weren't nearly as big as some of these Millennium Print Group warehouses surely would be.
Yeah, definitely.
We're like 45 minutes behind on chat now, so we have a pretty good backlog. Try to peel through these a little bit quicker right now, maybe. But any thoughts on AGS?
Making sure everyone's everyone's behaving.
Do you have any thoughts specifically on AGS grading to share?
They're going to become irrelevant in a matter of time. Yeah, I think any company outside BGS, CGC, and PSA is just going to become irrelevant. I think those companies had a valid window of time where they could have become semi-relevant just because PSA was shut down, BGS was shut down, CGC was doing their thing. had slower turnaround times. So AGS, DS, whatever those other
XYZ.
DSG was that one?
Yeah.
MNT, all those companies, they could have been relevant for that period of time just because they were really the only option. But now that PSA, CGC, BGS are kind of getting back on track, getting back to the new normal that we're going to be in, I can't see them lasting. AGS particular though, I can almost see a world where they get bought out by PSA, CGC, BGS, just because of the robo grading aspect of it. But all of those other ones that are just doing the same thing as the big three, they're going to become irrelevant.
I honestly think that there's room for a couple of those to survive if they want to just pivot. Like some of them are really going heavy, we're better than PSA, investment potential. If they want to cater themselves to, we'll put your card in a pretty slab with a pretty label that you can design, you can color. Like I feel like there's room for some company like that to exist for $5 a card or something, for people who just literally are going to own these cards forever. They might throw a grade on it. They might not grade it. They might just encapsulate it. People really like plastic for whatever reason, and they like paying up for it. So I've never tried AGS personally. I agree with Nick largely on CGC, BGS, PSA. But I think that some like super niche, small, because if you're a one-man operation, grading like a few hundred cards a month, like say you're grading them for $5 a piece, your cost on that is going to be almost nothing. It's a piece of plastic and a piece of paper. The equipment to do it is only a couple $1,000 if you're getting like decent equipment to do it. So I could see some companies being out there grading 500 cards a month, and that could be like a full-time job for a solo operation. So I think some things will like,
Yep.
is that surviving? Is that existing? Or is that just such a small rounding error that it doesn't even count? But like, yeah, the future that I see 5 years from now, BGS, CGC, PSA, and then maybe like a couple mom and pop shops, basement grading, whatever you want to call them, but like a couple super niche, super small, whether that's AGS, whether that's Ace, and Ace is different because it's international. But yeah,
Your
that
average
is.
player actually just brought that up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Ace is completely different because there's a completely different dynamic with international. And I do think that if you need something that sets you apart, you need something. And whether that's being for like true collectors that are never going to sell and don't care about value, for them, turnaround time and low fees would be the utmost concern. So if you can do it for $5 and turn it around in a week, there's probably a demand for that. And if you'll make a pretty label, color match, like HGA was doing that for a while, and HGA I think is not doing well. But yeah, I think that if someone had the passion and if someone wanted to do that, I feel like there could be a market for that. But who will? I have no idea. That's my take.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Your average player though brought the ace grading thing up, saying ace grading in the UK has actually been really popular. I think international grading companies like Ace Grading can stand a chance. All the ones in the US though, I think are doomed. But like international, that's something that needs, like, the people who don't live in the US need a more viable grading option. Obviously, you can submit to PSA, CGC, BGS, but it's going to cost you a lot more to do that, or it's going to take a lot longer between shipping times. So I can see international or new grading companies opening up internationally to kind of grow those markets.
Yeah. PokeKid asks, if Pokemon ever went away from the starter Pokemon being water, fire, and grass, what 3 types would you like to see? That's really interesting. Fire, water, and grass have that good dynamic because they have like the whole combat triangle thing going on. I think that's a common thing. I think of immediately RuneScape. You have mage, you have range, you have melee. I think that's a common theme among other games, among other things. But yeah, like fire, strong against grass, weak against water. Everyone is both weak to and strong to one. So I think you'd need that dynamic. What other 3 types could give you that dynamic? this is gonna test
couldn't
both
even
of
tell
our
you.
yeah.
I do not know
I
any
remember
knowledge when it
I
comes to
remember when we
that.
were talking about the next evolution that we'd both like, and you said dark. This makes me think of that. We're gonna put ourselves on the spot here, and we're gonna say something stupid. But yeah, I don't think there's another
Well,
three.
I'll go first, so you don't look that stupid.
Okay. I don't think there's another three types that give you that clean of a combat triangle.
I was just gonna say ones that I like.
Like
there's no thought going into this one.
well, like, and I'm not great. I'm not great with the games. I'm not great with the cards. I know a lot of them, but I definitely don't know all of them. But like, Dark is strong against Psychic. Is Psychic? How do Psychic, Ghost, and Dark? Like those three probably wouldn't form the triangle properly, right? Because I know Dark is strong against Psychic. I don't know how it relates to Ghost though. That would be like a cool. That would be like a spooky themed. Hey, drop a new, maybe not like a main series game, but like a type of game around like a Halloween, and have it be Psychic, Ghost, and Dark. I don't think that properly does the combat triangle. I think you'd have a hard time getting the uniformity, just the cleanliness of fire, grass, water with any other three. Fairy, Dragon, Steel.
I wonder if they makes you wonder. They probably did that on purpose.
I think Fairy, Dragon, Steel actually works because I think Fairy's strong against Dragon. I think Steel's strong against Fairy. And then Dragon must be strong against Steel, maybe? Maybe that... There probably are combat triangles that could work, but like, I think Fire, Water, Grass works really well too, because they're like natural... They're like real things that we... Like things from nature, the things that we relate to more direct. Obviously, Steel is a real thing, but Fairy and Dragons, those aren't as relatable as real, I guess. So let's see. Yeah, right now we're at when people were subbing and unsubbing. We have gained quite a few subs though since we started. We went down a bunch, but now we're back up.
Yeah, we're positive 4 subs.
Dude Man asks, have you seen PokeChloe and PokeDean bought the first place Worlds 2022 Pika? Would you ever go halves with anyone on a Grail? I really don't like the idea of joint ownership of cards of that caliber, because if and when there's a split decision on like, hey, I want to sell, hey, I want to keep it, it would be contentious, and it would potentially contentious, and it would also be like, say I was half owning it and my co-owner wanted to sell. Now I would have to immediately come up to buy them out of their half, and it might be at a higher valuation than I originally bought into it. And yeah, I do not like the idea of fractional ownership of collectibles. That relates to going halvesies with a friend, and that relates to the liquid marketplace and similar.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you there. I think it, in theory, it's a cool idea, just because you're not having to spend as much money on that one card. You can basically cut that cost in half and split it with another person. But then it kind of adds another layer to that relationship with that person, and it's gonna be even worse if things there can be more stuff that goes wrong to like ruin your friendship. Like Dan was saying, if one person wants to sell and one person wants to keep, or something happens like that, I think it's a lot easier and less complicated to just focus on cards that you yourself can actually afford and buy.
And then there's the logistical concerns of like, okay, do I get it every other weekend and on every second Tuesday, and or do I get it for 6 months and you get it for 6 months? Like, are you shipping the thing back and forth? I guess if it's living in a vault somewhere, it's easier. But yeah, that's then there's like the core trust and legal issues if someone were to try to yeah, like, are you going to actually contractually write up this fractional ownership? And what happens if somebody sells it and skips town with it? Like, friendships are lost. People throw away friendships. People throw away reputations over very small amounts of money, relatively speaking, from time to time. I mean, there are people that that decide their life is worth throwing away over robbing a convenience store over a few $100. To joint own a $50,000 card with someone, you might find out that you trusted them a bit too much, and that's like a nightmare scenario. And I don't think Pokey Dean or Pokey Chloe are gonna find themselves in that scenario, but it very well could happen between two people at random.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not doing anything with special delivery Charizard. You never did you? Do you own one yet?
I did not. No.
You haven't even bought a $5 code and spent $20 on Pokemon Center to get one for yourself?
I bought one at the trade night, actually, or traded for it. So I did get one special delivery Charizard. That was nice. But as far as other copies, have not done anything with those yet.
Remind me after this. I'm gonna send you one of my codes that I can't use. I only have like 3 codes left that I can't use, but yeah, I'm gonna send you one of those so you can buy something and get one. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy that you haven't placed literally for $25 that you probably traded or paid $50 towards that card, if I had to guess.
I think we called it 40 or 50.
Yeah, I mean, you could have one for 25. Direct. I'm gonna gift you one.
What a guy! What a guy!
Let's see. Sean Jackson asked, Dan, when do you think MetaZoo will die? I don't think it's going to die anytime soon. I would not have partnered with them. I would not have bought so much of their product. I would not have, I'm going to say the investing word, even though I'm not investing in it. I'm doing business in it, but I would not have invested so much capital, tied up so much capital in it if I didn't believe in it. So yeah, I think it's going to be around in 5 years. And I think what I'm doing today will prove to have been very fruitful in hindsight 5 years from now. And then short term, I'm doing well with it too. You have anything to add on that, or?
Well, I have a different take.
Share it. I mean, we all have our own opinions, right? And all we can do is look back in hindsight and see what happens.
No, definitely. I think you were very smart to partner with MetaZoo. Absolutely killing it over there, especially since your price point, able to break it down, sell singles, all of that type of stuff, grade cards and stuff like that. So I think that was a very smart decision on your part for doing that. But I can't see MetaZoo lasting long term. You're already starting to see it becoming less relevant.
Give us
not
a date.
As many people talking about it.
Give us a date, and I'm gonna write it down, and I'm gonna release a video with this clip on that date.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it another 2 years. So I'm gonna say July 3rd, or we'll go with like July 15th, 2024.
I'm putting it in my calendar right now. I'm gonna make a video on July 15th, 2024, either apologizing to Nick for being wrong, or I think I'll be gloating at Nick, and I'll be showing him my Kickstarter box, saying what it's worth, having this clip highlighted, and nice, fun little friendly, like no money to it, but just a friendly little wager.
There we go. Yeah, no, there's just fewer and fewer people talking about MetaZoo. The pricing is abysmal on MetaZoo, and I don't like the way that they're doing controlling pricing. I think that's going to really hurt them in the long run. with the whole map pricing thing for booster boxes and not selling through distribution and going kind of direct through people like you. I think that's going to hurt them in the long run, because they're literally artificially inflating the floor price of booster boxes. I don't think that's up to the people who run MetaZoo. I don't think that's what Mike should be worrying about.
Yeah, I've made my videos talking about, like, I believe Mike has the best long-term interest in mind, and I'm not saying I would necessarily do exactly what he's doing, but I think he has way more information than I do and is way more qualified to make those decisions. So I believe I believe he's making the best calls he can with the information he has. And yeah, I believe in it. You don't believe in it. We'll see what happens on July 15th, 2024. Be a fun little video to come out with. Do you guys see CGC removing subgrades like CSG did? They're ridiculously expensive and don't seem to add much value, if any. I could see them keeping them for perfect 10s, similar to SGC.
I don't understand why subgrades on perfect 10s is literally the stupidest thing ever.
When you already know what they are.
Sense.
Yeah. People
exactly.
Get it. This is the meeting where that happened. People like to see 110. Can you imagine showing them 5 10s? Your car is not only perfect, it is like, we're going to show you 5 times that your card is perfect. Brilliant. Brilliant.
I remember when CGC made that big announcement that subgrades were now free on perfect 10 cards. And I've always thought that was the stupidest thing. I think do it on pristine 10s, not perfect 10s.
So then you can see where can see where it's missing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But to answer the question, I think CGC will. I don't think CGC will remove subgrades. We've talked about this a lot in the past. Haven't talked about it recently, but subgrades being so expensive does not make sense to me. But now that subgrades are so expensive, I think CGC's trying to say that they only want to provide subgrades on cards that are higher end. And for me, submitting cards into CGC, the only cards that I'm grading with subgrades are either higher end cards, which I'm really not sending those to CGC, or no damage Ninetales. Just because those are going into my personal collection. I really like the fact that they have subgrades, so on and so forth. But yeah, no, I think for higher end cards or stuff that's going into your personal collection, whatever, I do think subgrades definitely have merit. I would rather see subgrades on higher end cards than a card without subgrades. Like Rusty just did a video, I think it was earlier today, going over the golden auctions that are ending this afternoon, actually. And there's a CGC 9.5 first edition base set Charizard up for auction right now with no subgrades. I think that card should have absolutely be sent with subgrades. The cost for subgrades on that card, percentage-wise, is so minuscule compared to the value. I think having subgrades could have helped that card do a little bit better.
Yeah, the thing is, if the subgrades were 9.5 times 4, it would do better. If the subgrades were 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, or say they were like I think if you got 8.5, no, it wouldn't be. If you got a 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, that would do worse. If it was a 10, 9.5, 9.5 though, absolutely it would do way better. So that's one thing inherent to subgrades that, like, one, on the super low end, like the first 5,000 cards I sent to CGC, I think I did subgrades because they were so cheap at the time. And if I had a CGC 8.5 Geodude Fossil First Edition, of which I probably had like 6 of them, When I sold those as PSA 9s or as PSA 10s, I did a stock photo and I sold them all at once. When you do subgrades, you can't do that anymore. So on the super low end, not only does it not make sense because it's such an expensive thing, it takes away all your margin, it makes it harder to sell too because you like have to photograph each one individually. And on the high end, like say you're doing it to your high end cards, I want to do it where it helps me. So if I have a strong 9.5, I want the subgrades. If I have a weak one though, because I'm selling, I'm grading to sell. I don't really, I do have some, I don't call them personal collection. None of them really are. They're all just long-term inventory. But yeah, I have some cards that I like the idea of subgrades because I like seeing where a card has defects and, oh yeah, this edge, that's why it's 9. This edge, that's why it's this corner, that's why it's 8.5, whatever. But overall, the market doesn't want that. The market wants a big number. The market doesn't want to say, this is why your card isn't perfect. The market wants 5 10s. But next best thing is just PSAs, put 110 and let people know that their card is 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 is as high as you can get. At PSA, it's a perfect card. A perfect card is going to score a 10. Many non-perfect cards are going to score a 10, but they're going to get the same grade. They're graded on a curve where cards that are like in the top 37th percentile get rounded up to a 10. I mean, that 37% of all Pokemon cards get graded as a 10, and that's just how it works. That's what people want. So subgrades, I like that they do them from an objective, like grading a card. They're more thoroughly doing their job, but I don't like it from a reselling perspective because the market doesn't seem to like it. So
That's true.
The market only likes it in those examples where you have a quad plus or you have a quad plus plus. Otherwise, I don't think you're ever really getting a premium. So yeah, that's my take on subgrades. I don't think, all that said, I don't think CGC will get rid of them like CSG did. Ancient Mew wants to know, do we like the Go set? Just having the Gen 1 cards in there boosts it for me. I didn't open a single pack of Go. My son wanted to open cards like last week, or maybe it was a week or two ago, the last time he's asked, and I had just gotten a shipment of like 100 Japanese Pokemon Go boxes, so I opened one of those with him. I don't think I opened any English Go. Not because I don't like it. It's just, again, a time thing. It's like, do I want to create more bulk, more singles for me to have to store and deal with, or do I want to like chip down my backlog? That's always the consideration for me, like the past year and a half.
Yeah. I do like Pokemon Go. It was a really fun set for me to open. I like the fact that it was a smaller set. So you were able to open the entire set within a reasonable amount of booster packs, which was nice. Plus, you had the Alt Art Mewtwo, which looked really nice, and then the Radiant Big 3 Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, and then you had holos of each of those cards as well. So you had some cool cards within the set. So I thought it was a good set. I did enjoy actually opening it and going through all that stuff. I actually just bought a whole bunch more of Pokemon Go to break down. Bought some of those pin collections, and I was thinking earlier whether or not I want to sell the packs as sealed packs or open the packs and see about grading some more of the Radiant Charizards, Blastoises, and Venusaurs. I gotta look into pricing on that stuff, because selling the packs sealed would make it a whole lot easier. But we'll see what pricing looks like on kind of the hit cards and see what would be the best route to go. But even like the speaking of the pin collections, the promo cards within the pin collections, they're not worth much. They're $2-3 cards. They're just holographic cards of Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. But even the artwork on those cards looks really good.
I do like those ones.
I think I'm going to send some of those into CGC for grading.
Play that perfect lottery.
Yes, exactly.
We got a contentious one next. What's your take on
boy.
cleaning cards? What's your take on buffing cards? You want to go first, or you want me to?
Ooh, this is a hot take here. I don't care on this one.
I'll go first. I
Okay.
don't think we've been asked this yet. I don't think I've talked about this yet in a live. I've probably talked about it some in Discord or. To
Yeah,
me,
I was gonna mention this one. I forgot to mention this one earlier, but I was gonna say we should talk about this because this is a hot topic on E4 right now and on Facebook.
To me, like, I'm not intending to do
I
it.
hope you have a different opinion than me.
I'm not intending to do it. I haven't purchased the kit. I almost purchased one of the kits just out of like curiosity to take a couple cards, intentionally scratch the hollow, or take some. I have a decent inventory of just played, scratched, damaged things to see what it would do. I haven't opted to do that. Maybe someday I will, just out of curiosity. I do not intend to do that and then grade any cards. I would have concern. I've heard about other people bring up concerns of like long term, can that discolor the card? Can that do anything? But to me, it's like if the experts can't detect it, it is what it is. Like I say the experts kind of sarcastically, but yeah, it's along the same lines as like wiping. Maybe it's not as analogous as I think it is, but like wiping signatures off of personalized cards, and to me it's like you own the card, you can do what you want with it, but then when you start putting it into the market, if it like trimming, like say you own a card, say you own a 52 mantle that's just in your binder and it has a really rough edge, if you want to cut the edge off that and put it in your binder, that's fine. It's your card. Do what you want with it. If you want to fold it in half, if you want to sign it yourself, if you want to get somebody to sign your card, whatever. Like, it's your property. Do what you want with it. I'm very much like, on your own stuff, do whatever. But the second that you start grading it, trying to increase the value by deception, potentially. So, like, theoretically, this is a thing in coins too, and it's a thing in comics. It's really weird in the collectible sphere. If you clean a coin the wrong way, the value goes down massively, because you can chemically remove some of the surface oxidation. You can buff, like you can actually polish a coin as well, but it takes away some of the original production luster. It takes away some of the original like surface morphology of the original coin as it was produced. Some of that's detectable, some of it's not. And I think certain coin companies actually offer a cleaning service that is like fine, and it will get a normal grade. So like if you pay them to clean it, they'll clean it. But if you clean it and do it wrong, then you'll massively devalue the coin and you'll get like punished for it. Same thing with comics. If you try to clean a comic book in a certain way, you're gonna like completely destroy the value. But if you pay for their premium pressing service, whatever they call it, it's all fine and dandy. So yeah, I think to some extent, maybe this is overblowing it. Maybe it's not as big of a deal as people think it is right now, but we might be at a bit of a crossroads where we need to define how much we care about it. Me personally, I don't really care that much. If I own a card that looks beautiful to me, like I've always been buying the card. If this makes the cards look better, I want cards that look better. I want, like, generally speaking, the market wants bigger numbers. They want cards that look better. If it's non-detectable any other way and all it does is improves the look of the card, I'm kind of like, it's fine. That said, I don't pay PSA 9 premiums. I don't pay PSA 10 premiums. I'm never going to be damaged by this because I'm not someone who pays a big premium for the opinion of a grader. Like, I'll buy the cards that are slightly lesser condition for substantially less money because it's the whole condition thing. I'm fine with this sitting QD Charmander with the lopsided eyeball. I don't need a PSA 10 one for 10 times the money. Like, that's just where I'm at. And if there's a stitch on it, if there's a stitch hanging off the eyeball on this Charmander, and I'm noticing it and I don't like it, I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut off the thing. And if and when Sitting Cutie grading becomes a thing, can you trim a stitch off a Sitting Cutie and then grade it? Can you? I slightly modified the Charizard that I had that I sent in to PSA. I cracked it from I sent it to CGC. I cracked it from CGC PSA. It almost looked like it had a bit of ink on it. I scratched the ink off. I traded ink for whitening. I kind of like slightly damaged the card, and to make it look visually better, to improve the grade. What's allowed, what's not allowed, I'm not going to be the one to define that. But like me personally, if you do it and then you grade it and the graders can't detect it, who I am, if I ever did it, which I'm not intending to, I'm not planning to, none of the cards that I'm selling I've done this to or have had this done to them, I would at minimum disclose it. Like I would say, hey, I show it on my channel now. I crack out a PSA 9 on video and then I send it back to PSA. If and when it hits the 10, I literally show you the PSA 10 with the PSA 9 label next to it. And then I put it into my store for PSA 10 prices. So 5, 10, 20 years from now, if this becomes more widely accepted and everyone's doing it and it's fine, I think that could happen. And yeah, I'm down for it, whatever. What do you think?
I pretty much agree with you. I was hoping you would be all for it. But no, I think I look at it the same way as coins. I think that retro in the bottom of the chat, I like it. So I look at it the same way as coins. Like you can do certain things to coins where it's not considered altering it and cleaning it. But then once you pass like a certain line of cleaning coins, then it becomes you're actually damaging the coin. So I don't see the big deal with this whole cleaning thing of cards where you can remove the scratches. I probably wouldn't ever do that myself. But as far as other people doing it, I can't see. I don't understand why people think it's such a big deal. I personally don't, and I would be curious to know, like, what's it going to look like in the future? Is anything going to happen to the card in the long term, where you can't notice this damage now, but then 5, 10 years from now, there's a big water stain or something on the card. That's what I would be curious to know. Is the condition of the card going to remain consistent forever now, or is it at some point going to change? Where I would draw the line is like physically altering a card. So like cutting it to remove whiteness, cutting it to square up the corners on like sports cards and stuff like that. You really can't do it with Pokemon, but coloring the card on the back to remove whiteness.
But if you own a card,
that stuff is where I would draw the line.
If someone owns a card and they just want to, if someone owns a card and they just want to trim it off, they're going to own it forever, whatever. A raw card that they're not intending to like sneak through PSA and grade it and sell it for more money. If someone just wants to like trim, it's their card. Like they can do whatever they want with it. I don't care what someone does with their card. It's when they start the intent to deceive and get more money from it is where it becomes criminal and it becomes wrong. Like if it's your do whatever you want with your property. I don't care. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing, but yeah, we might be at a bit of a crossroads in the hobby. Like we need to define, is it right or is it wrong? If and when PSA can never tell that it's happened, which I don't think they ever will be able to, then it doesn't matter whether we think it's right or wrong. It's going to be a reality we're going to have to deal with. How much it actually, how well it actually works and how high the grade actually goes from it. We can all pick pedals over that and debate it all day long, but I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so another topic we can't disagree on. One of these days we'll find a new topic.
We agree too much. Mr. Walrus, we were only kidding. You're very welcome to post your questions. He said, enjoy your short podcast. Hit that dislike button, guys. Today it's me, tomorrow you. We won't limit you to 1 per hour, Mr. Walrus. Let him fly. Honestly,
don't be
though,
saying that.
a good analogy, if Mr. Walrus or anybody is in here, I mean, there's a certain demand, supply and demand, right? We have a certain capacity to answer questions in a fixed amount of time. If one person is doing multiple laps, and then at the end of the day, we don't get to 20 people's questions, and one person had 20 questions answered, does that sound analogous to any recent situation we've seen, maybe in the autograph sphere? I mean, we are these. What does Cam call himself? A micro influencer?
Oh, or is it micro or nano?
Yeah. What? Maybe if he's nano, we're probably like micro. We're probably like one step above, slightly, not much, but. So if he's a nano influencer, we're two micro influencers who have only a fixed amount of time. We're only going to be live for 3.5 hours today. We can only answer so many questions, and the way that I ramble, it's even less than like Saito taking his time on the autographs, really putting in. That's me just rambling on and on and on. With Saito, you're getting higher quality. With me, you're just getting like more words, unfortunately. But yeah, that said, we only have a fixed capacity, so if too many people are doing multiple lines, multiple questions, then some people are missing out.
That is true. That is true.
Let's see. Smitty in here saying PSA $15 tier, talking about like rest in peace CGC. CGC is not going to die from PSA $15 grading. Not even remotely.
No, until PSA starts grading in 2-3 weeks, CGC is here to stay. Because even like we were saying earlier, even though they're the same price essentially, you're getting your cards back so much quicker with CGC, which it for modern cards that are just coming out, that's huge.
Yeah. Johnny Boy says, are you seeing a significant number of CGC collectors come up, or more just crack and regrade, thinking in a long-term perspective? I sell daily. I sell a lot of CGC slabs, and I know a lot of people who do likewise. CGC gets a pretty bad rap from a lot of people who just love PSA and their whole collection's PSA and whatever. All that said, like, there's a lot of people in chat right now who I know do good business buying raw cards, grading them with CGC, turning them over multiple times before they could grade one card with PSA. Are they selling for less than they could if they graded them with PSA and gotten a PSA 10 instead of a CGC 9.5? Absolutely. But you do get the occasional CGC Perfect 10 that sells for a premium. CGC Pristine 10s on some cards as well. There are plays with CGC, and CGC will be around 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I believe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Anything else to add on that, or?
No, I think we covered that earlier pretty good.
Okay. Ryan asks, thoughts on the state of modern Pokemon booster box prices? To me, a lot of them, especially Sun and Moon era, feel quite overpriced, especially compared to where other TCGs are at the moment.
I just recently bought a few, what was it? I think it was 2 Cosmic Eclipse and 2 Team Up boxes. And I could not believe how expensive those were.
Why'd you buy them?
Eclipse was like $500 a box, which that one sounded reasonable because Cosmic Eclipse is a really good set. But Team Up is like $1,000 a box. I could not believe it.
Why'd you buy them?
Well, because I got them for a good deal. So I'll sell them for $1,000 if I can buy them for less.
So you bought them as flips, not as investments.
Yeah. I do think Sun and Moon boxes are very expensive, and I don't think, for the most part, I don't think it's justified. I can't see a world where those just keep going up from here. I know there's a lot less Sun and Moon there than there is Sword and Shield. So that could be one argument for it. And there's a lot more people in the hobby now, as opposed to when Sun and Moon came out. But I do think Sun and Moon is risky right now.
I think $10,000 Fossil is risky. I think $5,000 Heart Gold Soul Silver boxes are risky. I think to some extent, $100 Ultra Modern booster boxes are risky. Like if we go into a major broad, I keep saying, if we go into a broad depression, multi-year recession, things could get ugly. Like, people have this thought that seal only goes up, and people had that thought in 2020, and base set booster boxes went to 30K, and then they came all the way back down to 10K. They've stabilized, they've popped back up to maybe like 12 or so now, 12, 13, whatever they are. But all this stuff's fairly risky because the intrinsic value is zero. It's all collector value. It's all based on someone else paying you more money than you paid for it down the line. And yeah, team up at 1,000 is pretty crazy. That said, I have one or two maybe. I don't have many of them. So I'm not going to be the one to crash the price on it. I don't know who. I don't know anyone with 100 boxes of it. I'm sure there are people with 100, if not 1,000 boxes of it. But yeah, it's I don't know. I have a play moving ahead. I intend to keep 10 to 20 cases of nearly every set for short to intermediate term. How that's going to pan out, historically speaking, it's not been the greatest. Like, this past 2-3 years, yeah, it's been awesome. A lot of boxes have gone nuts. But I'm going to do a video in the next few weeks or maybe a few months. I bought every box in the hobby in the years between 2015 and 2018. A lot of those boxes were not very high relative to the release cost versus the date that I bought them. There was not a lot of growth. And I think we'll get back to a period like that. Those were when production was really, really low for many, many years. And then production stepped up, interest stepped up. The boxes still didn't like stunk like crazy. And I could have made an argument that they were very undervalued at the time. And they, in hindsight, they were, obviously. But we could go into a future where 10, 20 years in history has shown that it can happen. That there's just a lot of semi-flat or very low returning boxes over. I mean, look at Magic too. Like, Magic, there are boxes that are 10, 15 years old, I think, that are sub $100. So yeah, that's
And then the other thing with when you were buying your boxes to open, back then you didn't have people hoarding all the boxes, so there was no big like stashes of these boxes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Sword and Shield boxes, because now everyone is hoarding boxes. I think it's going to take a lot longer for pricing to increase on any of those boxes.
I think that's a contentious point there. I think that's a little bit overblown, because I know what I'm doing.
No.
Anecdotally, I know what I'm doing. I've seen some of the Facebook pictures. I've seen some of I've seen pictures of a lot of sealed product. I saw Mason's video with all that sealed product. But I still think a lot of people, like, some people are buying $220 Evolving Skies to put it in their closet as an investment. A lot more than some people think are opening it, though, too. I think how much, what percent, I have no idea. But I think some people overblow how much they overestimate how much of the investment side is going on. And maybe I underestimate it, to be fair. Like, we all have our own thoughts. We can all take in all the information that's out there, and then we make our own estimates from there. Like, that said, I used to keep 1 or 2 cases of every set sealed. I'm keeping 10 to 20 now. So I've 10x'd what I'm doing. Has everyone on average 10x what they're doing? I don't think so. I think I'm keeping more so than the average person. But I could be less than the average person. I have no idea.
No, I would agree you're keeping more than the average person. But I also think the amount of people holding boxes now compared to pre-2020 has gone up substantially. Look at like the
that's what I'm saying.
Popular things on YouTube are all about investing in Modern.
I've gone up 10x, but a lot of people buy those things as investments. They have no self-control and they end up ripping them.
Yeah, but say there's also a lot of people that are just going to stash them in their closets.
What percent, what number, what effect is it going to have? Those are the things that we don't know. Yeah, I agree. It's happening more. I'm doing it 10 times more than I was pre-2020. Anecdotally, me personally, 10. That's the only thing I know. The only thing I know is what I'm doing. I can speculate on what other people are doing. I don't, like, what are you doing? What did you do pre-2020 and what are you doing today? Anecdotally.
I didn't do any pre-2020.
So you're doing infinitely more than you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, infinity. We have infinity times more investors in modern Sealed than we had. Uh oh, I'm gonna sell down. Uh,
Oh man. Oh. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Evolving Skies, that one's gonna do well in the long term, unless Pokemon comes along and does an absolute massive reprint. But sets like Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, even those types of like sub $100 boxes. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen to those in the long term. See how long it takes for those to even get to $100 and above $100 price points.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Chilling Reign is taking up over it. I think Chilling Reign is over 100 on TCG now. I think Battle Styles is mid 90s. Like they've definitely rebounded. I was picking up some for $70 a piece through eBay
Yeah.
with discounts and stuff like that.
Yep.
It'll be interesting. Basic trainer, basic caster asks, is it the time to sub MetaZoo? It is always the time to sub MetaZoo. I will be including a bit more. I've done most of it through CGC, but I will do some through PSA with my upcoming submission for sure. Did you see? I'm sure you don't have anything constructive to add on Basic's comment about MetaZoo.
No, I don't.
Did you see the whole Magic?
To be fair, I do get one of each booster box and theme deck for MetaZoo, just in case it ever does become anything. But I've opened one Kickstarter pack, and that was it for MetaZoo. Never opened anything else, so I don't have any cards to submit to PSA or CGC.
So you're a MetaZoo Sealed investor. You're stonking out on MetaZoo Sealed, is what I hear.
Yes. Yep.
Did you see
big Sealed investor here?
Did you see the Magic reprint thing coming out?
I did hear about that.
Four packs, $1,000.
We're actually talking about. Yeah, that's absurd.
What are do you have any like quick hitting thoughts on it?
My biggest thoughts on that, first off, the price point for the pack sounds absolutely absurd. But putting that aside, I think to me it sounds like more of a cash grab. WotC doing more of a cash grab that in the long term is going to hurt them. Because while this reprint or whatever, basically reprint of the alpha sets, these cards do look a little bit different. The borders look different, the backs look different, they're non-tournament legal. But it goes against everything they said about the reserved list, how they're never going to reprint these cards. Magic is completely different from Pokemon, where the cards that have value, for the most part, and before I go any further, I really don't know much about Magic whatsoever. So, but the cards that have value within Magic are the playable cards within Magic. It's the cards that are on the reserve list that people are buying and investing in because they know that Wizards said they're never going to reprint these cards. Now that Wizards is reprinting these cards as a little bit of an anniversary set, I think that's going to negatively affect them in the long term. People aren't going to believe what they say as much anymore. So that's kind of my initial thoughts on that.
It's a really, again, another contentious topic. I think a lot of people's feelings are hurt. I think a lot of people's feelings are going to be really hurt when they instantly sell out. I was recommended a live, like it was not while it was live, but I was recommended a live stream. It was like 2 or 2.5 hours long of a guy talking about putting $350,000 into botting this release of Magic. And I don't know the person, sounded pretty serious. I didn't watch the whole 2.5 hour live stream. I clicked through various points and he was like, yeah, I mean, he showed an account with that much money in it. He talked about how he knows a guy who does a lot of like sneaker botting. He does Pokemon botting. He's going to bot this with 335 grand. And this thing is going to sell out instantly. It's going to be like a 2020 situation where going for 50% more on the secondary market, if not double. Like this stuff's going to get gobbled up, I'm pretty sure. And Is it a cash grab? Absolutely. Us consumers are a cash cow, and the company's job is to milk us. You need to be careful, though. You don't milk it to death to where short-term gain. It's a long game, too. You want to make money in the short term, but you can't kill the cow, right? You got to keep it producing milk into the future. So how much can you take? That's where the whole greed, the fine line they have to dance. But yeah, that's absolutely what this product is. That's what $120 ultra premium collections are from Pokemon too. They intentionally underproduce what the demand is to spark the hype, to get these products out there, and they do it on an annual basis. They do bigger ones for, like, mark my words, Pokemon will have a $200 retail product in the next few years, and in the next 10 or 20, they'll have a $500, if not $1,000 anniversary, super deluxe, extra limited edition. That's just the way these things go.
What do you think about the whole? Are they going against what they said about the reserve list? What do you think of that whole aspect?
They did collector's edition before. They did the gold backed ones that you couldn't play with the square cut corners or whatever, or I think they were square cut. But yeah, so there's precedent for this. They've done it before, and it's not surprising they're doing it again. Like I said, it's gonna hurt a bunch of people's feelings, but a lot of people are just gonna. You can sit and you can cry about it. It's not gonna change it. It's still gonna happen. Or you can just choose to interact with it, try to take advantage of the opportunity, make some money on it, or you can choose to not participate. You can vote with your wallet, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that guy who's gonna bought 335 of them, maybe he's wrong. Maybe he'll get stuck with a product that's not worth half what it sold at. But if I had to guess one way or the other, I think this one's gonna go up. If I had to guess one way or the other, I think special delivery or ultra premium Charizard is gonna go up. That's the way that these things go. That's a guess. That's not investment advice. We are an hour and 15 minutes behind chat, so maybe we'll try to
catching up.
Maybe we'll try to rapid shoot some of these.
We say that every time, and it never works.
Let's see. Oh, I hate. There's so much chat to scroll back up through when it jumps to the bottom. Holy, we are like. Okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing that question, and that was a long time ago.
Hour and 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, that sounds kind of stupid.
People are talking about Funkos. What's the difference between grading Funkos, grading video games, grading cards? To me, it's all equally silly as the rest. Like, I understand the core need for it originally, but it's gotten silly with how much value we as a market cumulatively attribute to it. That's my take. And I know it's not a popular take. It's not a popular take in this space. Broadly, I think it's a popular take. Most people still don't grade their cards. Of the 73 people watching this video, disproportionately, we grade cards. Overall, though, your average consumer in the Pokemon space, they don't grade. A lot of people don't even know it exists, which is crazy to think. Like, it's so much of our lives. But
yeah, no, that is definitely true. That is 100% true for sure. But I do think grading overall is beneficial, both for businesses and the hobby overall. I really don't think Pokemon would be as successful as it is today. Like, the collecting within Pokemon would be as successful had it not been for grading.
Basic says we all need our heads graded. That's funny. I am actually getting through a lot of chat without any questions. Let's see.
Oh, that's good.
Retro thinks $10 coming. Basic says a Christmas special of $8.
That would be sweet.
That would
I
be.
cannot see that happening though.
I would gladly send James my PSA 10 Unlimited Pikachu that I lost in the bet, and then I would send out 5,000 cards to PSA.
At the same time, that would be a rough time to do a special. Could you imagine, like, December's usually a really busy time of year anyway. Could you imagine having to send out cards as well as doing everything else?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
I would send him the middleman. I would do it all over again. uh
Oh.
J Ray Pokey asks, do you think there's a play with Korean Pokemon cards? Seems like not a whole lot of people have tried. Absolutely, there could be. I don't know though. I'm not too involved in it. I will say though, I think I talked about this on one stream before. I sold an art set because Korean Evolutions, they had a red box with Charizard on it, a blue box with Blastoise on it, and a green box with Venusaur on it. I sold an art set of those boxes for like $5,500. Korean Evolutions, absolutely crazy. Um, so there are definitely niche things that people aren't paying attention to that could be a play to some extent. Uh, try and see if it works. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I would I've never done it myself either, but I can see there being some merit. Obviously, the buyer pool for that stuff is going to be a lot less than English, Japanese, but you also have a lot less sellers, which is another kind of important thing. If you can kind of get into a market that not a lot of people are in, you could definitely do well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the graded coins, the graded packs, way more niche than the graded cards. Less competition, decent margin though still. Slow mover, but decent margin. Are you taking down times for timestamps?
I completely forgot to start that.
I've actually it looked like you were just writing, so I wanted to see if you were. I'm actually doing it. I'm trying to do that for everyone. Obviously, if you're here live, it's not that relevant. But for anyone watching later, there's timestamps. Hopefully, if I remember to put them in. Not hitting everything by any means, but I'm doing it where I can. Um,
Now I want a timestamp for every different thing that we've talked about.
I think PSA has a category for submitting pins, but I don't think I've ever seen a Pokemon pin graded. Do you know?
I know, like there's like the round like baseball pins. I have seen those graded. I've never seen a Pokemon one.
DGS, Dan's grading service confirmed. The motto, FIFO. The Green Shiz is 7 hours backlogged on Pokemon content, and then we come out increasing his backlog.
Well, now you're over 10.
John Doe says, I'm surprised PSA haven't taken the UK market. Isn't PSA grading it in Japan? Didn't PSA formally make Ludkins like a proper PSA UK, they call it, right? Ludkins has like
Yeah.
rebranded
Yep.
into PSA UK. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they're doing the same thing in UK as they are in Japan, as far as I understand. No grading. They're sending it to the US, but they're like formally their name on it, not like a third party middleman.
Yeah. Yep.
Mr. Walrus. When are you guys when you guys are gardening or setting up for next spring, are you using solid or liquid fertilizer? I don't have a garden set up yet at my new house. I've been here going on my 3rd year now. Definitely going to do it this spring finally. I think between the pandemic, between having a second kid, I've just made too many excuses to not get it started. We did like tomato plants in pots this year. But definitely next year I get like compost. Local transfer station near me makes their own compost. So I get a couple bags of that, fill it into my soil, and I run it that way. How about you? Any gardening going
I'm not
on?
a gardener. I'm not a gardener.
Not a
No.
not a green
No.
thumb.
No, definitely not. Oh.
So yeah, we're at the point where people are trying to come up with the combat triangles: fighting, rock, flying. Um. Okay, dark would be overpowered in the one that I said. Dark is strong against both ghost and psychic, so that was a bad one. Dragons equal dinosaurs. Let's see. It seems like different areas of the market have all had their own times in the spotlight, starting with trophy cards blowing up in the last year, and now signatures. Are there any niches left? The Dark Lava Lizard very intelligently and covertly asking, what should I buy now before it blows up? But it's worded well, so we're going to answer it literally.
I'm sure there are. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's always going to be something that's the next hottest thing.
Is it graded sitting cuties?
Can you think of any prime examples for us?
Could be sitting cuties. I don't know.
Well, if we're going to answer it like that, I'm going to say pins.
I was going to say that or pins for sure. Yeah, there absolutely could be. I made a video a couple weeks ago. Like it blows my mind that people are trying to like find the next boom, wait for the next boom. We're still booming. We're still booming. Let's not try to just make everything 10x. Let's just be happy with like more reasonable, rational, slow growth. And I'm not saying Dark Lava Lizard that's necessarily what you're asking for, but it sounds as if it could be to an extent. What's gonna 10x next? The Green Shiz Collectibles.
Probably not going to be pointing the right way.
The Green Shiz Collectibles says, "What's a reason MetaZoo could fail in 2 years?" Oh yeah, for you the pointing is tough because like you don't even get immediate feedback on it, right? Or no, you can see yourself on your screen.
Yeah, I still haven't. I pointed like 30 seconds ago, and I still haven't pointed.
Oh yeah, that's right. Can you see yourself on your screen or no?
No, I'm just watching the
That's right.
I could, but yeah, I'm just watching the YouTube.
In Discord, you should be able to see yourself on your screen if you want like immediate pointing feedback, because that is tough to do that on a 30-second delay. So, the Green Shiz Collectibles, what's a reason MetaZoo could fail in 2 years? Good question. I think there are. Ooh, it's tough. Like Pokemon, I would say definitively could not fail in 2 years. It depends partially how do you define failure. Pokemon, I don't think in any sense of the word could fail in 2 years. Way too big, way too much history, way too much inertia. Nor could Magic. Pokemon could do things in the next 2 years that would start the gears turning towards failure a decade out from now, I think. What those things would be, I don't know, but I think that they could take steps that would be really detrimental. But way too much inertia, way too much moving mass to fail that quickly. MetaZoo?
Yep.
MetaZoo has been out for 2 years in a pandemic, really terrible. Like, what MetaZoo has done, I think people really undersell, underappreciate, undervalue what they've done. I know there's so many Kickstarter TCGs stonking out left and right. MetaZoo didn't fully fund their Kickstarter. MetaZoo sub-funded their Kickstarter, and then they launched, and people want to say it's artificial, this, that. People want to be so negative towards it. It's like, how do you advertise, and how do you like get word out on a thing without it sounding as shilling or without it sounding as like pumping the price? Like, obviously you're going to promote your brand and you're going to try to make it succeed. It happened in an environment, unfortunately, that was broadly surrounded by TCG bubbles. So there's no way that like MetaZoo could have came out and not been seen by some people as like pumpy dumpy whatever. But I would say not nearly to the extent as Pokemon. People who hate MetaZoo are going to hate hearing this. I think MetaZoo has too much inertia to fail within 2 years. If failure means like stopping releasing sets, stopping releasing new partnerships, they're working with Netflix right now. They're working with video games. They're getting into new stores left and right. Walmart, Target. They're collaborating with eBay. They're doing new plushes. They're doing new jewelry. They're doing the skateboards like Pokemon's doing. They're doing so many new things. They've got so many things going. They've got so much money built up from the success of their past 2 years. And honestly, I see Mike as too like driven, too passionate in this. I don't think MetaZoo can fail within 2 years, like to where they stop releasing new sets. I think we're getting guaranteed. Guaranteed is a bad word. I think we're getting almost certainly going to get at least, they're only doing 2 sets a year. UFO, Seance, Wilderness was also this year, right? 2 or 3 sets a year. I think it's I'm as certain as I could be that we're gonna get at least another 5, 6, 7 main sets from MetaZoo, just because of their inertia. Their inertia is nowhere near as strong or as massive as Pokemon, but it's still there. I think. I hear from people all over the place. No one collects, no one plays, no one this, that. I know a lot of people who play and collect, and I sell to a lot of people who play and collect. So that's my take on it. I might have to clip that and make that into a highlight. I don't know if you'll want it on our channel, PokeFlipz, but I might put that as a highlight on my own channel.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, no, my biggest thing is just really what we were talking about earlier with the whole map pricing. I don't think that's a good move. And then without map pricing, how cheap booster boxes are. That just, to me, that just goes to show, like, there really isn't that big of a demand. But then again, they did print, what was it? UFO, they printed a ton of it. So the boxes were cheap there. And then even Wilderness, they printed a ton of it.
They printed 100,000 of each of those. And those boxes are selling. Like, people don't understand. People don't realize.
$50, $60.
Yeah, but they're selling. Like, people, I feel like people fail to understand the fact of how bad things could be. Pokemon boxes have sold for 70 in the past few years. Pokemon boxes have sold for 70. MetaZoo is brand new. It doesn't have 25 years of history, and they're selling like in relatively high volume for $50. That's good. That's not as good as if they were selling for 112 map, but that's good. That shows health. That shows that people are buying it. They could be not selling for 50. They could be not selling for 40. They're selling for 60. They're selling for 70 some instances. Like, to me that shows
when you
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but now what happens where people can't buy those boxes for 50 or 60 and they have to pay 112?
That's where, like, this whole map thing just started with UFO. So we're literally in the first set of map pricing. Didn't go as intended, right? Like, as intended. I don't know how map is going to progress. I've talked about this in a video that I made on map. Again, Mike is doing what he thinks is best for the future of the brand, the franchise. He has way more information than I do. I don't know if it's the best thing. I don't know if it's going to work. But right now, we're coming up on the second set. In 2 weeks-ish, Seance releases. And that's only the second set under map. Will it work better than it did for UFO? Probably. Because now there's only half the amount of boxes. And he's done some things behind the scenes to, like, crack down, maybe ban some people who were breaking map. Will it work perfectly? I don't think so. I think there's already pre-orders out there, sub map. So if and when that's going to be the right or wrong thing, like, if map is going to destine them to fail, I don't think he's going to be so stubborn to just ride it to the bottom of the ocean. I don't think he's going to, like, drive right into that iceberg and just ride map to failure. If and when it becomes inevitable, and if and when the writing is on the wall that map is, like, a completely failed process, which I have no idea whether or not it will be. There are so many successful industries out there where map is a thing and it's employed effectively. I worked with customers. I worked in different industries where that is a thing. So it's not like he just made this up and this is some, like, overarching power move thing that he, like, invented out of thin air. Like, it's an actual thing. So yeah, I think he'll change, though, if and when he needs to. He showed it a year ago. I think he said 100K was going to be the print run of every set moving forward. The market gave him indicators. The market reacted in a way. Prices went down. He changed his mind. He didn't flip flop. He got new information and he adjusted with it. And he have Seance to 50K. I think that, like, to me, that feels and looks healthy. It's growing pains of a brand new TCG. 2 years old. I mean, 2 years old. Yeah.
I would still say brand new. Yeah.
Relative to Pokemon, relative to Magic, brand new, relative to, like, MetaZoo, I think gets lumped in with this whole pump and dump, shilling, Kickstarter, blah, 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 whatever. A lot of those have come out since MetaZoo, and I think some of them are already gone. Some of them, again, MetaZoo did not fully fund their Kickstarter. Some of these brand new Kickstarter TCGs are overfunding by millions of dollars. They will not even be produced because they're literal rug pulls. They're literal pump and dump, take the money and run. Kickstarter has a history of those kinds of situations going on. And yeah, it's MetaZoo is not that. MetaZoo's been proven to not be that. And yeah, it's the people who hate it are going to always hate it. And that, honestly, if you hate it so much, the best thing you can do if you hate MetaZoo is to just be completely indifferent to it. Because when you share stuff, when you get all worked up and all angry and you like have to share an Instagram post or share a YouTube video, you're fueling it more. Like you're spreading it more. Hey, I mean, that's clicks. And
Yep.
it's funny to me how actively and how like viciously people can be so hurt by the existence of something that doesn't affect them. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I do not understand that. How people can be so passionate about hating it.
Yeah, it's so common in this world. Like there are so many people who make it their life's mission to just crap on things that people enjoy that have no effect on them whatsoever. Like live and let live. If someone
definitely.
if someone is doing their own thing and it has no effect on me, no effect on other people, isn't taking away anyone else's freedoms or anything like that, whatever. Like live and let live.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's the obligatory MetaZoo rant in a primarily Pokemon podcast. Kiwis is going to be around for the July 15th, 2024 MetaZoo video when I'm laughing and saying that, haha, it still exists. You were wrong. I was right. Josh is calling for hashtag MetaFlipz. He wants a new MetaZoo podcast channel.
You're gonna have to find a new co-host for that one.
Anyone
even basic or maybe even
anyone who wants to pair up with MetaFlipz, hit me up. Maybe I'll do a nice little spin-off series, secondary podcast.
You're gonna have to think of a new logo though, because this one's trademarked.
Yeah, it'll have to be a Bigfoot head for sure. G1T Landon asks, would you guys like to see a darker anime like one adopted from the manga where Charmeleon slashes an Arbok in half?
Man,
I don't really watch the new ones at all. Periodically I do, because my son will get into moods where like sometimes he's watching Blippi, sometimes he's watching Paw Patrol. He'll get into little like Pokemon moods and we'll watch it here and there. But yeah, I mean, if it seems like there's a decent demand out there for it, it would be cool if they made it. I don't know that I'd be watching it too much because I'm not watching it much currently, but yeah, it'd be cool. I understand though, as a brand, like they haven't really. I would understand them making the strategic decision to never go that route, just because of like the child friendly. And we talked about this a few episodes ago, where
with Charlie,
us older addicts are already in, like they've already got us for life. A lot of us. The best thing you can do as a franchise, I think, is keep getting the new generation's kids. Because if you hook them strong enough, deep enough, they're going to come back in 20 years. They're going to, like, yeah, always target your new stuff, ultra modern, towards kids. And then the older people will just play around in the ultra modern, in the mid, in the vintage, wherever. Like, you've already got us. Pokemon doesn't need to do any more to keep me. They've already got me. So don't make stuff for me. Make stuff for the kids. I've already got enough to enjoy. There's already enough Pokemon cards, enough stuff out there. I can enjoy this franchise for a lifetime. So keep targeting the new stuff towards kids.
Yeah, 100%. Kids are definitely the ones to target with modern and all the games and the anime and stuff like that. I'm the same way. It's been years and years and years since I've watched the anime of Pokemon. So I probably wouldn't watch that. I'm not a big anime person. Pokemon
neither.
was really about the only one that I watched growing up, and I haven't watched any of that in a very long time.
Your average player asks, does it make sense that a base set box is a lot less than a single heavy first edition base pack? So first, I'd question, I think they're about on par. I don't think it's a lot less. I think a base set box is around 12K right now. and I think you'd struggle to get much more than 12K for a heavy pack. Am I right there?
I would say so. I would say like 8, probably around 10, maybe a little bit less than 10.
For a heavy pack?
Yeah.
Or a base set box? I think they're in the same ballpark. They're in the same vicinity, close enough. So to me, it makes sense. Production value, production quantity. We don't know the exact ratios, but substantially different.
Does it make sense that a base box is a lot less than a single? Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. I think first editions, it's the first. It's always gonna. I think it's always gonna be worth a lot more than the unlimited. Plus, there's a lot more of those unlimited boxes than there are. I would say there's a lot more unlimited boxes than there are even first edition packs left out there.
Yeah, it's tough. Heavy base burst packs versus sealed unlimited base boxes. Which one has more out there? Counting every sealed box of base first as like 12 heavy packs.
No, I'm saying all of first base packs. So heavies and lights.
Oh, you think there's more? Ooh, I don't agree there. I think I agree if you just take heavies, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's but I think it's reasonable that they're priced the same. Evolved Collectibles asks, has anyone got or opened their Rudy kits? I've seen a lot of videos coming in my feed recommending. I'm not watching any opening videos. Mine are supposed to come tomorrow, and I'm actually gonna I'm getting 4 myself. Ray is sending me 2 of his. We're trading Rudy kits for Charizard UPCs. Not 1-to-1, obviously, because the Rudy kits are really expensive. But I'm going to ship 2 of my 4, maybe 3 of my 4 out to Swami. I'm a little concerned bringing those through security, combined with the fact that I don't have much space in my bags to pack them. But like, I would worry with all the huge pins on top. I would worry that it would set off the metal detectors or the X-ray, and they'd want to open it to see what was going on in there. And yeah, I'm just going to ship them out to Swami for both those reasons.
What are you getting within the kit?
There's like 3 layers. It's like a mystery box. It's a very fancy Rudy mystery box. You get guaranteed you're gonna love this. You get pins. You get serialized pins. There's a pin of like a floppy taco. There's a pin of the Greed Monster. Silly memes from his channel. And I've been a Rudy. I'm not subscribed to his channel because I don't watch all his videos. I only watch like a small fraction these days. But I was an original patron back in like 2015 or 2016, whenever it was, before he shut it down, before he closed it. I got done with it for a few years there in the middle. But I'm a patron again when someone got their feelings hurt and quit from his Patreon. I hopped in. But yeah, I'm gonna open 1 or 2 in Denver. I might send an extra one just in case someone else wants to buy one. I think they're going for like slightly more than what Rudy sold them for on eBay. So if someone wanted to open one in Denver along with me, I'd sell it to you, one of them probably for like cash, or pretty much what I paid with shipping and all that, shipping it to Swami. But I'm looking forward to opening it. It's fun. Obviously, it's Rudy. If the serial number of the pin ends in 69, it's redeemable for like a booster box of product or a case of product, and you can get MetaZoo promos in there. You can get Pokemon booster packs. It's a pretty fun idea. At the end of the day, it's a mystery box. I'm probably gonna lose money, but I'm gonna have some sweet serialized pins of all the Rudy memes. Yeah.
And how much were they?
Oof, $669, I think.
What? You better get me getting some really good stuff in there.
He said that the way he intended to make them, obviously there's no like MSRP on the pins, like what value he put the pins at, what value he put the MetaZoo Rudy promos at. You have a chance to get some of the some really unique stuff. He got like a bunch of Magic beta cards signed by some person and signed and numbered by some important person in Magic's history. There's interesting stuff in there. It's more just the memes. I'm supporting him and his memes over the years. not a financially well, not a great financial purchase on the face of it, but yeah, that's I can't avoid them. I can't skip out on the memes.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what you actually get in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun hanging out with everybody in Denver. I'm going to want to open something. I'm absolutely opening a handful of things. The Rudy kit, I'm going to try to stay away from my own heavy packs. I'm going to try to just sell them all to you guys so I can watch you open like the Mucks and the Weezings and the Hitmonchans. And but yeah, we'll see. Gotta open something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Buy the card, sell the grade. Radar 2022. When did he say that in 2022? Because I was saying, what did I say? Buy the card, sell the label. I think is what I was saying quite a while ago, earlier this year. I think on this podcast, buy the card, sell the label.
Yeah, you've definitely mentioned that before on the podcast.
I don't know who copied who, but I like Radar a lot. He's been slowly dripping out a couple shorts here and there.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him back doing some Pokemon content again.
Retro says, "What are we talking about here? LMAO. Can you alter a sitting cutie?" That was when I was talking about trimming a loose thread off a sitting cutie.
Oh,
let's see. The libertarian in me loves Dan's takes. Yeah, what I was saying about live and let live is a very libertarian take. Not to get political, I don't identify with any of the major political parties in the U.S. Scott Rogers says, I remember the jump the shark moment for Beanie Babies in the 90s was when everyone was grading and encapsulating their collection. Now the actual cases are worth more than the items inside. Graded, yeah. I mean, there are more, like, people hear Beanie Babies, the analogy made, and they immediately dismiss it. I think it's more apt analogy than some agree with. Look at what coins did in the 80s. Look at what Beanie Babies did in the 90s. A lot of what's going on today, whether it's VHSs, whether it's video games, whether it's coins, whether it's cards, a lot of this stuff in hindsight will be looked back on 20 years from now. What the hell was anyone thinking? The same way we look at Beanie Babies today. Like, that's my take. A small fraction of a lot of this stuff that's like really higher caliber, really scarcer, really, that stuff's gonna do well, probably, in my opinion. But a lot of stuff is gonna be like, what were we on back then? That's my take. So Basic actually says, and there's some disagreement here, no different in deep cleaning a used car to make it look better to sell, non-issues. I agree with that. Like, yeah, if you, I mean, when you buff out a scratch, when you clean it up, when you pull out the floor mats, vacuum it all out, like, you're prettying the thing up to make it more visually appealing. It's not a better car. It's not functionally any better. You're not really artificially, but you're intentionally dialing up the appearance of it to get more money. You're trying to get more money out of people. And Robert Schaefer doesn't agree. Retro agrees. I agree with that. That said,
I would agree with Basic on that one.
There's not really like a third party person that's grading your car out of 100. But if there was, like, you would pretty up your car so that you would get a higher grade with the company. And it's a fundamental thing that everyone has to make their own decision. And then as a hobby, one way or another, the choice will be made and we'll go there. But yeah, I don't know. We need Dan and Nick to grade our questions. Yeah. We gotta start. We gotta start assigning a grade to every question after we answer them.
Selecting like the best question in the stream.
Cam says only 3.5 hours. LOL. Cam
We're
and
slacking.
Cam and James really loved our 40-minute highlight from the last episode. I was thinking for this one, we might just stop the live and then continue recording me and Nick talking for an extra 30 minutes at the end. And then so the live will be 3.5 hours. The highlight will be 4 hours. It'll be like
There
plus
we go.
bonus
There we go.
footage. So I think James and Cam will really appreciate that.
I'm sure.
Let's see. Your average player. Shout out to Dragon Shit.
That was awesome. Oh man.
We're slowly catching up. I'm 35 minutes behind right now, so we're slowly catching up. Your average player says, I heard PSA has started to grade some poker cards. Plays? ?
Can't believe those things. I would still say if you're quick about it, you can probably make money. Those things are still sell for crazy amounts.
I think, going back to MetaZoo a little bit, I think PSA is supposed to be grading the MetaZoo poker cards as well. To me, it's silly. Like, it's funny to me that people think grading the trading card game cards is so reasonable and then scoff so much at the poker cards, or scoff so heavily at VHSs or sitting cuties or coins or booster packs. It's all the same thing. These things are all massively produced. It's like, to me, it's so more analogous. And some people just like, oh yeah, what I'm doing with cards, buying PSA 10s for 100 times the raw price, that all makes sense, but everything else is stupid. I don't know.
I think there's certain things that make more sense.
It's a spectrum. Some of it's more stupid than others.
Yeah. Like cards, Pokemon cards make way more sense than the playing cards.
Why though? They're both horribly massively produced. Like, horribly massively produced. Hundreds of thousands.
Pokemon cards have an organic demand. Playing cards are just the newest, hypiest thing.
I think the differentiation between organic demand, like, demand is demand. Whether or not, there's definitely a difference, but I don't know. I just think it's funny how some people can point and say, this is silly, that's silly, but what I do is fine. What I do it makes sense, and I'm making good investments. To me, it's all pretty scary. And I guess they're closer on the spectrum, in my opinion.
Would you rather have, what would be a good example? Would you rather have a PSA 10 first edition Pikachu, Jungle Pikachu, or whatever playing card is, PSA 10?
Neither. They're both horribly overvalued.
Choose one.
No.
Quit playing it safe.
It's not playing it safe. I don't like either of them. They're both terrible, like, long-term value-wise. Like, sell them both. Sell either of them. Give me the raw thing for 100th of the price.
Answer.
It's the right answer.
No. You gotta choose one of them.
What's the print run?
Choose one of them for your 100-year anniversary or investment.
What's the print run?
I have no idea.
That's what I would want to know, though.
We have less of a print run.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the MetaZoo poker cards, they probably have a less of a print run than some of the MetaZoo set cards. I don't know. I haven't done the math, but very, very possible.
Yeah, but you also have way less people interested in them.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all silly to me. Varying degrees of silly. Retrospects with a big question. What is the quickest way to exit as soon as the hobby stops being profitable? Thanks. Auctions are the quickest way. Yep. They can be shilled, they can be non-paid, they can be whatever. But send all to Nick and/or James and/or Rusty and/or Scott. If you got some that you want to do buy it nows, if they're a little more niche and you're worried the auctions might not do as well, feel free to send those to my buy it now consignment service. But Yeah, quick. Like if you just want to one day you wake up, you want to be done with Pokemon, there are many options. Fill up a bunch of boxes, consign it. If you use Nick or me, a week or two later, you'll get a check or you'll get a deposit. If you use Heritage, Gold, and PWCC, 3 to 6 months later, you'll get a deposit. If you use yeah, like depending on the service, it could be, it changes the time frame to getting your cash, but your exit can be very quick. As quick as you can box up everything, label it, and send it to a consigner. A lot of options out there. Let's see. I keep jumping to the bottom, which really doesn't help. So AP, I saw.
We're slowly catching up.
Yeah, I saw this.
Have to scroll up less and less.
We're 45 minutes behind, but AP Sports Card said this is in reference to when we were talking about what percent of Evolving Skies was sealed. It's hard to know if we're over or underestimating the hoarding when nobody will even venture to guess a percentage. Over/under 40% Evolving Skies sealed. I think over 40% is sealed as of today. But how much of it will be sealed in a year? What percent of Evolving Skies that was printed remains sealed today? I think over 40%. Just because so much was recently printed. But a year from now, will it be 40% over still? I think it would be under 40% a year from now. Unless they do a massive reprint in 11 months and that reprint is still just fresh out on the market.
Yeah. I would say over 40 right now. I would say like probably. It's tough. I would say probably. I would say over 50, like 50, 60%. I think there's a lot of sealed products still out there. Maybe 50. I would say closer to like half and half. But yeah, definitely. I would say definitely over 40. And long term, I think it'll be less. But I do still think that there's going to be a lot of people holding on to sealed products, especially Evolving Skies. I don't know if there's that many people opening Evolving Skies right now compared to other sets. Obviously,
Nick just ignoring our raid, ignoring our chat. Now I'm gonna have
so caught up in answering the question, I didn't even look at the chat.
I'm gonna have a ton of chat to scroll through. Appreciate it, Rusty. Sending everyone. Let us know in chat as you're telling us that Rusty rated us. What was Rusty opening today, and how did he do? I think I saw he was gonna open some evolutions today, as well as other things, but I don't think he's in the middle of any of those massive, like opening a master set to give it away. I think he's just doing whatever people are buying for the day. But yeah, how were the hits today, Rusty? Did you pull any Evo Zards? Did you pull any good stuff? Thanks for the raid.
Hopefully they got a Zard. There's like a Zard in every box, isn't there? Between the reverse hollow and the hollow.
Well, between the reverse hollow, the hollow, and then the other ones too, the non-base reprint ones. There's got to be a Zard of some kind.
Yep.
But yeah, for anyone new in here, anyone just hopping in from Rusty's raid, thanks for stopping in. We're doing our bi-weekly podcast every couple of weeks. It does overlap with Rusty's openings, we've come to find, but that's just the way it goes. Feel free to leave any questions in chat you want us to get to. It's going to take us a while if you ask a question now to get to it. We've got a bit of a backlog, but any questions about Pokemon at all, we're here answering them for the next hour. I forget if I don't think I had a question highlighted, did I? I was looking for my next question.
We were just talking about the Evolving Skies boxes.
Oh, yeah. One thing I wanted... Yeah, one thing I want to do...
Thanks for increasing subs.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a number there, which is moving quite nicely. Appreciate that, Rusty. Appreciate everyone for subbing and hanging out, but... One thing I want to do in the future, and I've done some in my Patreon, I've estimated print runs. They tell us, hey, we printed 9.1 billion cards across this time frame. We know what sets were in print for that. So you can allocate an estimated amount per set. It's hard because you got to estimate, you got to split what was English, what was Japanese, what was other languages. But from there, you can kind of do some math and you can get at approximately how many chase cards should there be, approximately how many Moonbryon should there be. But let me actually, I can't easily pull it up quickly, but I want to say that somewhere between 50 and 100,000 was my estimate for like how many Moonbryons would have been printed. Crazy to think because they only come one out of a 1,000 packs, but given that there was say there was 100,000 printed, we can estimate very approximately, but we see a population with how many were graded. I think 2,500 were graded at PSA. Taking it as true, which is not like that's a big leap. It's a big it's a big guess. It's not certain by any means, but if that's true, only 2.5% of the Moonbryons have been graded that were produced. If the number's wrong, if it's 50K instead, well, now it's 5%. If it's 200K instead, now it's only a couple percent. So it all, or now it's only like 1%. So unfortunately, like we don't have exact print numbers, so we can't see. If we knew that there were exactly 100,000 Moonbryons printed, not everyone is being graded. We need to estimate what percent of Moonbryons are actually graded, and then we could maybe back into like, okay, what percent of Evolving Skies was opened. But every additional layer of math and estimations that you do puts that much more uncertainty into it. If you do like a propagation of error analysis into all those assumptions, your plus or minus is many orders of magnitude larger than your estimate.
Yeah.
But it's still an interesting exercise to go through, like trying to think through it and estimate.
It would be interesting for a very, very rough number. But that would be interesting for sure.
Yeah. To where we were talking about the $1,000 magic product. G1T Landon wants to know if you have any WotC League badges for sale.
Oh, I responded to him. I said, I do have some. They're not listed though yet. I gotta finish those up. I got about there's a ton of different pins that I got in the trade with Rusty. But there's not many different pins. So I got about half of them listed already. I just have to get the other half listed now. But that involves like putting them all in like sets of team bags and taking a picture and putting it on eBay, which maybe in a couple of years.
So Rusty, if you're still here, you might be interested to hear that Nick didn't trade for those as a quick flip. Nick traded those for those pins as an investment. He's not even listed so many of those pins, and it's interesting too because like you have so much duplicate. Those are the types of items. Like if you get a 200 card return from PSA and they're all different cards, it's a fair bit of work to list 200 individual cards. But if you get a PSA return and there's 500 cards and 200 of them are like all unique, but the remaining 300 are like 30 each of 10 different cards, those would be the first 30 cards I list because it's like one listing and you sell multiple per. So like the fact that you haven't listed some of those pins that you have dozens or hundreds of is like fascinating to me. Those are like the long game plays that you want to get them up because you're going to have them for a while.
Those will definitely be with me till the end.
Thoughts on Pokemon ever doing master case promos like Weiss? I'm not familiar with Weiss, but I think I understand what the question is. Like the thought would be you open up a sealed case of Pokemon. In Pokemon, we only have 6-box cases. They don't have like a master case, but you would open a 6-box case. In the top of it, it would be like a case topper. You'd get a promo. It would be cool. I don't know that they ever will. Probably not. They're not even doing box toppers these days, though historically they did for a while. The e-reader era, they did the oversized ones, and then a lot of the EX era, they did like a secret rare set card.
Yeah, I can't see them doing that now. I think there's a lot of things that they can do if Pokemon starts to cool off. But for right now, where Pokemon is just like so hot, even still after 2020, I don't think they need to do any of this stuff. And why start doing it now when they can save onto it for one of these like low periods?
Yeah, I think they have a big bag of tricks that they can reach into. And we saw after coming out of the junk wax era, sports went to serialized. Magic is going into serialized. Magic is going into a 4 booster pack product for $1,000. Reprints of like Pokemon could do that for their 50th anniversary, for their 30th anniversary. Who knows? Like Pokemon could do. You can pull a base set first edition Charizard reimagined with an alternate art. So imagine this, like the functional equivalent in 4 years would be Pokemon releasing. So you can open a base set first edition Charizard, or maybe it would just be Shadowless because they're doing like a beta. They're doing beta for Magic, not alpha. So say it's a Shadowless base set Charizard, reimagined alt art. So alt art like. I guess it would be hard to get into an alt art, but maybe full art, reimagined Charizard, Arita's Charizard, and then 1 out of 100 packs is like an original border. It would have. I don't know what's different with the beta ones exactly. Maybe it's just the back. So maybe you would get the whole same front of a Shadowless Charizard, only the back would be different. I don't know if the copyright date is different. I don't know if they moved around any of the text or if it's a 1-to-1 reprint on the front. I think they moved around some of the text a little bit, like on the Black Lotus. But yeah, that would be interesting if they ever did that.
I'm sure the copyright would also have to be changed.
Yeah, there is a different scenario with Pokemon 2 where Wizards of the Coast used to own it and now it's printed by like Pokemon themselves or whoever. But whereas with Wizards, it's always been with Magic, it's always been Wizards. So yeah, there's probably different considerations there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm just writing the timestamp.
Oh, now you know how it feels.
Yeah,
I feel so free not having to do anything.
Yeah, I've got the OBS.
Sit back and relax.
Yeah, I've got the OBS, so I've got the time. I don't think you have time over there.
I do not. No.
Let's see. Mr. Walrus says, "Does Dan know he's already a partner? No need to cozy up to Mike." I'm not by any means like sucking up to MetaZoo. I'm not like I genuinely enjoy it. I over the years, I chose not to go into Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, no other thing. Like MetaZoo, for whatever reason, caught my interest, and I went into it. Yeah, so we're in a long span of people talking about MetaZoo. G1T Landon asks, "Where's the zoo? All of the creatures are in the wild. Need to see them in cages." So I think G1T Landon is calling for like an actual cryptid zoo. Catch Bigfoot, catch Mothman, put him in a zoo that we can go and go to with the kids.
There we go. That's what we need.
There we go. Yeah. How do you think Disney waifus will do? LOL. Are you doing anything with Lorcana, however you say it? I think it's Lorcana.
Not right now. I do really like those cards. I do like Disney, as everyone else does. So I would like to get into those cards from a collecting standpoint. I think it's going to be in the beginning, at least, like right now with all the the promo set. I think that's a massive pump and dump scheme, where the people who are able to get those cards are making an absolute fortune, but the people who are buying those cards are going to lose a ton of money. Just because they're buying in there's so much hype right now, even though the cards aren't coming out for another almost year. I can't see that doing well. But as far as like when the actual sets do come out, I do want to try and get into it. I have a feeling it's going to be really hard because pricing is going to be absolutely insane. So I think that's going to be one of those things that it's better to wait a while on before getting into. How about yourself?
If I can get it, like I don't know if it's going to be brick and mortar only or if I'll have access to it as an online retailer. If I can get it wholesale, I'll dabble in it. I'll play in it a little bit. If I can only get it retail and I've got to combat like bots and all the scalping and hype and rocket emojis that are going to be going on, I'm probably not going to touch it. Maybe I'll buy a box. My wife really loves Disney. We went to Disney. I went to Disney World when I was younger a couple times. We went in 2017. We had a wedding down in Florida, so we went. Like, I like the franchise. I like the I like a lot of the movies, but not my wife is like really into it. So I see the mass appeal that it could have. Like, I think I've heard a couple different people talk recently about Disney. Disney has the IP, has the mass appeal, almost similar to like Pokemon coming out, like just having, having. I mean, they have way more than Pokemon, honestly, with all the things they've bought recently too. Like they own like the Star Wars franchises, and they own. I forget if they own Marvel or DC, or I think they own Marvel stuff, maybe some of them. But yeah, I think it could be too stonky for me to touch though if I have to do it as a retail consumer, not as a wholesale purchase.
Yeah, getting it from wholesale would be awesome. I highly doubt we'll be able to, but that would be sweet if we were. Would yours be? Would you have any interest in? So, like, say we were each able to get like a case, 6 boxes or so. Would yours be an immediate flip into the market, or would you actually open and enjoy it?
It would depend on pricing. If I'm buying them for 80 and they're selling for 300, I'd probably just quick flip the case and be done with it. If I'm buying them for 80 and they're selling for like 150, I'd probably just like set them back and forget I had them and check in like 5 or 10 years and see what it's doing, either 0 or like really, really high.
One or the other.
Yeah. Or somewhere in between, because there's a big lot of space in between those two. Thoughts on?
No, I think.
Oh,
yeah, you can go ahead.
Wrap up with Lorcana if you want to.
I think I would open it unless the pricing was absurdly high, like above 500. Anything below, I think I would actually open a few boxes at least.
Yeah, I might open one. Like if I only get a case is tough. If I get 2 cases, open 1 case, sell a couple boxes, open a couple boxes. Case, you're really restricting me. Give me 2 cases.
That's why I said a case.
That question's too hard. I want an easier question.
You do not like these hard questions.
I'm a fence sitter. I need to have enough product that I can do both. I don't want to just have to do one. Brandon Baker asks, thoughts on Farigiraf. Did you see that? I don't even know how to say it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, that's been like coming up like 10 times in the chat around this time. What is that?
This is so I think Gen 2, didn't Gen 2, like the Neo sets have, is it Girafarig? It's the giraffe guy.
Like
it's probably Girafarig because it's starting like giraffe. So this is Farigiraf, who is an evolution of Girafarig. I'm probably butchering that name. It's, I don't know. It's an evolution of giraffe-ish Pokemon that looks different giraffe-like. It is what it. I don't know. I don't have any major thoughts on it. It's cool.
It's not a Quaxley type of cool for you.
It's no Quaxley, not even remotely. But it's fine. It's fine. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 average.
Yeah, I don't have Girafarig, or however you say it. Probably pretty stupid Pokemon. So I would imagine probably going to be pretty close.
Motive Jason asks, the new Arceus Ultra Premium box is still readily available for pre-order at $99 at GameStop, but has confirmed sales on eBay for $150 plus. Why? Some people don't know where it originally comes from. Some people only see it on eBay. Some people don't have access to buying it from GameStop. Some people might be buying it for $150 on eBay internationally through GSP, paying a lot of fees further to get it shipped to them because they just can't buy it directly from GameStop. So there's multiple reasons why, but the same question. Why do some singles sell for more on Troll and Toad than on TCG Player? Why do some sell for less on eBay than TCG Player? It's there is opportunity out there for platform arbitrage because not everyone is on every platform at all times. So that's always going to be a thing to a certain extent. Sometimes there's like regional specifics as to why. Sometimes it's just lack of knowledge. I think that covers like all the, I don't know if there's any additional reasons.
Not that I can think of, no. I think the biggest is just, yeah, like you said, regional and people not knowing.
Farrah Giraffe is so lazy on Pokemon. What's next? Duragarb and it eats trash? I think, yeah, we've been in the hobby, like we've been familiar with our Gen 1, Gen 2 for 20 plus years. Some, if you objectively look, like if you never knew of the Pokemon universe and you came into it and you were introduced to all 1,000 species all at once, not in any order, not knowing that there were different generations. If you had to go through and you had to rank which ones are the most ridiculous by look, there would be Gen 1s in the S tier. There would be Gen 1s in the F tier. Like you would maybe more so Gen 1 would be better, like the better ones towards the S. But like if you could, we can't be objective about it. We're very subjective about it. We have our nostalgia, we have the history, we have the time and familiarity with them. But honestly, if you go generation by generation, there's good ones, there's bad ones. That's just the way that it is. That's just a fact.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hating on the name or the design, both. Oh, at 3:30, at 3:30, your average player was saying Rusty might raid you if you guys stay live. He must have been
we're live.
He must have been dual living, having us in one ear and Rusty in the other ear. Dark Lava Lizard just broadly asked, can we hear more about the trade night you hosted? He did talk about it. I don't know if you were here. He did talk about it a little bit a while ago, but do you want to just quick recap that?
Yeah, so went over really well. We had probably about 25, 30 people who stayed the entire time. We did it from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that alone blew away my expectations that I had for this. And then there were probably 20, 25 additional people who came or spent an hour, 2 hours, whatever. At the kind of peak time that we had, there was probably 40, 45 people in the room, which was really, really cool. Definitely blew away my expectations. And it seemed like everyone had a lot of fun. Everyone that I talked to said they loved the idea, that we would do it again. And it was actually surprising to me what kind of stuff people brought to the trade night. There were a few little kids who came with their typical modern binders of different cards, but then there were also a lot of people who had like really impressive binders, and then a lot of graded cards, a lot of really cool stuff. And I wasn't sure what to expect, really, but overall, definitely a success. Someone took a whole bunch of pictures, so I do have a whole bunch of pictures of the event. One of these days I want to get into them posted on Instagram and kind of do a write-up of my thoughts on the event. It's been a busy past couple of days, but one of these days soon, I'll have something on Instagram about it. And in the future, we are definitely planning on doing more of these events. It'll probably happen at some point next year. Probably won't do any of this year, but maybe January, February, we'll do our second one, and hopefully be able to continue this movie. Kind of do this on like a regular basis where we have multiple events every year.
Good stuff. Found our next question.
Yeah.
You want to take that? It looks like it's on screen for you.
I'm seeing got a Megazard and TCA raid.
Oh, you don't have yours on live then. I don't know how to say it, but what set would you recommend investing in sealed for relatively low budget folks?
Ooh. I guess I would eliminate Evolving Skies. I would say Brilliant Stars is expensive-ish. Definitely cheaper than Evolving Skies. So I would say Brilliant Stars is one. I would also almost say want to say Chilling Reign. Chilling Reign, there's a lot of it out there. There's a lot of people who are already in at a really good price point, $70, $75. So you're at a bit of a disadvantage there, but I can see Chilling Reign doing well. I personally really enjoyed that set. Thought there were a lot of really good cards within that set. And I can see that one doing well in the long term. But it's got to be for the very long term.
Yeah, I frankly don't really like investing in any ultra modern sealed too much. My answer would just be
keeping 10 to 20 cases.
I'm speculating, and I'm getting in at such a low cost basis too. Like that's a thing I always talk about is like you got to know who you're up against. You got to know that I'm gonna have whatever you're gonna buy one box of. I'm gonna have 20 cases of. My cost basis is gonna be lower. And I have Troll and Toad Evo to move it for me for lower fees, lower labor. You always got to know, like, if you're doing it as an investment. What I would lean towards is like I would try to get something as close to the floor as possible, sub 100 ideally. So like you mentioned, Chilling Reign. If you can pick a set in the past couple of years that you really enjoy, people say buy what you like, invest in what you like. Worst case, like if the investment doesn't pan out, at least you have something you'll have fun opening. Like that would be the route that I'd take. If you love Lost Origin is a box that you can buy right now for under $100 again. I think it could stay under $100 for like the next 2 years. It also could stonk out. Something could happen to where I could see it being 150 within 6 months. I don't think it will be. I think they'll print enough of it. I think they have printed enough. Plus it's still got a 2-year window to get more reprints. So yeah, I would recommend if you enjoy the product, like buy it, open it, have fun. Investing in sealed, you're just up against a lot, I think. But it's your money. You can choose how to spend it as you want to, and yeah, just know what you're up against, and ideally buy something that you enjoy, just in case the investment doesn't pan out. You can open it and have a good experience. Brandon Baker says Amazon UK has Brilliant Stars available today for only $117, but it doesn't ship until November. Does this hint as a potential reprint? Brilliant Stars is so new. Like all the speculation that goes on over these ultra modern sets, sub 1 year old, are they getting reprints or not? I always just work on the assumption that they all are getting reprints until the 2-year window ends. And then sometimes you'll have an Evolutions that gets reprint for 4 years. Yeah, I would just assume this is hinting at a potential reprint. It could also just be logistics. They could have shipped out a cargo ship of Brilliant Stars back when it was released, and it might not be there yet. COVID, whatever, delays at the ports, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But it is such a new set that, yes, there are potentials for a reprint. Oh, so Connor asking, kind of on the topic of local events too. Connor asking, am I going to see you Saturday or Sunday, Dan? So Connor is in Rochester area. I am in Utica area. In between us is Syracuse. There's an event. Oh, what's it called? Retro Game Con, maybe? It's this weekend. I told him a while back that I might go. My kids are still sick. My wife was out of work yesterday. She's out of work today. I highly doubt I'll be able to make it, unfortunately. If things turn around and they all become well instantaneously tomorrow, which I highly doubt, maybe I'll go Saturday would be more likely, I think. But less than 10% chance, unfortunately, I would say, Connor. Yeah, Retro Game Con, he said in the chat live. So yeah, very unlikely. I do want to get in the future to where I try to hit up an occasional event in Syracuse, or who knows, maybe I'll try to run an event more local to me. Problem is, like, Connor's a few hours away. I don't know too many people too close. Like, you've got Jake fairly close. Dan TCG was pretty close to you guys too. But yeah, I'll unfortunately probably not be there this weekend. So close to Denver too. My mind is already set on a Denver state of mind.
Yes. I can't wait for that.
Oh, I just put a question up that you had actually answered in chat. The one that we just got to their question. Where are the questions coming from? We did have a big backlog. We're currently only 22 minutes behind in chat, so we're doing well now. Retro wants to know,
making progress.
Who are your favorite rappers?
I could not even tell you. I don't listen to much rap at all. I mainly like 70s rock.
I only listen to Pokemon podcasts. I don't even listen to music. Kind of true, honestly. I don't even listen to music anymore. I just listen to Pokemon content and personal finance content on YouTube.
I still listen to a lot more music than I do podcasts, because I get too distracted listening to podcasts sometimes. There's like when I'm shipping, I got to be listening to music. I can't be listening.
Yeah, because you got a stack of 200 cards with no packing slips. I can listen to more. My packing is more mindless because I have a packing slip to check for me. But yeah, you've got a leaning tower of cards, 200 cards, no packing slips. If that thing falls, you got to push out all your schedule for 2 weeks to catch up.
Schedule for 2 weeks.
I honestly don't listen to much music, but Vanilla Ice is right up there. I mean, right? He's got to be tops. I'm actually going to a Vanilla Ice concert next weekend. If anyone didn't know, he's playing in Denver. No, I don't do rap at all, really. My main music is like 90s country is my favorite music. That's what I grew up on, 90s country. Also like just the general music that was on the radio in the 90s and 2000s when I was like riding the bus to school. That music is just like nostalgic for me. So I don't even like necessarily know or follow closely a lot of the musicians or a lot of the bands or even know a lot. I know a lot of the songs though. But yeah, I'm not a huge music person. I think a lot of people, music is like a huge part of who they are, and they're really like, that's not me. I like a lot of different music. Like you said 70s rock. I like a lot of different 70s, 80s, all different kinds of stuff. I'm all over the place, but rap is not one of those places I'm in at all, really.
No. I cannot do country though. That's like the one thing I can't do. So that's where we disagree. We finally found something.
Alan Jackson, Brooks and Dunn, Montgomery Gentry, Garth Brooks, Tim McGraw, Kenny Chesney. Those are my guys.
Nope.
Brad Paisley. I'm not a big fan of. I like vintage country. Vintage being like I like mid-era country, I guess. I don't really like the super old stuff my grandpa listened to. Some of it I like, but 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, ultra modern country. They're doing some country rap. They're doing like country. Some of the country I like is more country pop, but it's getting too much into the pop side. But country rap is crap for me. Like actually, if you make a word out of the two, crap is an apt description.
Oh.
Pokebondo, do you think Topps will ever get back into Pokemon and from there introduce a serialized product? We've definitely talked on this before. I think if and when Pokemon needs to reach into their bag of tricks, it's something they could definitely do. I think it's reasonable to take the Topps route, whether it's Topps, Fanatics, whoever, some third party, keep it out of the TCG, keep it collector only product. I think it's very, very feasible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would pretty much agree with you on all of that there. I can't see it happening unless we reach a lull, or I guess if and when we reach a lull in Pokemon. For now, I don't see them doing anything like that, just because they're already selling enough cards.
Yeah. Do you think Japanese booster boxes are printed far less when compared to English, as Scott usually mentions?
Yes, I would say so.
I would assume English
just
is over 50%. Yeah.
Yeah. Just look at the number of people in the US compared to the number of people in Japan. And then take whatever subsection. I'm sure there's like the total population in Japan, I'm sure there's a bigger percentage of people into Pokemon than there are percentage-wise in the US, but just with the numbers of how many more people are here, I definitely think there's a lot more English boxes than Japanese.
Yeah. The next obvious question is like what percent, and I just have no idea. It's so hard to say.
I could not tell you. I have no idea.
Ben asks
it's a big percent. I'll go at least double, I would say.
So like
I think I would be safe with saying that.
70%, 35, like 66, 33 would be like 2/3, 1/3, something like that.
Huh?
66% English, 33% Japanese.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's not an unreasonable guess to me. I don't have enough information, or I've not tried hard enough to estimate what it would be to say anything different. That sounds reasonable-ish. Ben asks, what modern error cards are there, say, post 2016? So I don't know if you mean an error card like the No Damage Ninetales that was like an actual mass printing error where they went and changed it and then reprinted it like fixed. Or if you mean like error cards, there are miscuts, there are crimped, there are ink dots, there are all those kinds of errors. But as far as like broad errors a la Stage Evolution Box War Turtle or No Damage Ninetales, or I don't know off the top of my head. There definitely are some. There are some cards that had corrected versions come out, but Bulbapedia would probably give you a good list. I'm not like an error guy, a variant guy by any means.
Yeah, neither am I. I know Charlie. There's one that's the no damage whatever card in some theme deck.
Yeah, I've definitely seen Charlie post some.
It was 2016, 2017. So I know there's that one card, but Bulbapedia would definitely be the where to go for that one.
I'm just looking at some of the live chat that we'll be down to in a while.
Hey, get back up there. No slacking over here.
Bellsprout is goofy, if I'm being honest. So this is where I said if somebody new came into the hobby and you had to like rank how goofy, how bad all the designs are, like there are a lot of goofy Pokemon from every era.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you see that all 3 Charizard promos come in one sealed wrapper in the UPC? I hadn't seen that.
I hadn't either. It makes sense to me though. That's how they did the gold cards for the celebrations. You had the metal cards were packaged separately, and then you had the pack of the other 2 cards.
And it's a common thing where they have, like, inside the pre-release decks, it's a lot more than just 3 cards, but they do bundle cards together in packs like that relatively frequently. Mr. Walrus asks, what sales are you both planning for the holidays? I actually just sent out this morning, like, for no real reason. I just haven't listed any of my own personal inventory in a while, so I sent out a 20% offer on everything. Big pro tip, like, if you want something in my store, it's just, like, a little bit too expensive for you, put it in your watch list, because periodically, instead of doing a mass sale for eBay where everyone will see the lower price, I'll just send out like 10%, 20% off offer for anyone that's watching.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to do. As far as me, I usually do like a starting on Black Friday, do like 15-20% off my whole store. So I'll do that again for that weekend, Friday through Cyber Monday. And then for my website, I'm planning on doing some like daily specials. See how like those do, like on Instagram. Post like a code where you can get whatever for a really good deal. See how that goes. Try and bring some more traffic over to the website, and then yeah. So see how that goes. Hopefully it'll go good. I want to definitely want to get a whole bunch listed in kind of preparation for that. Get a bunch more listed on the website, and hopefully sell a whole bunch this holiday season.
Yeah, similar for me. I do like Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, usually 10 to 20% off, send offers, combination of both.
Yep.
We're down to the final 18 minutes, so we're going to have to rattle some off here. G1T Landon asks, what base set Pokemon would you like to see a full art for, like the Pikachu and Celebrations? My answer, all of them.
Ooh.
Give them to me in a 30th anniversary set, charge me $1,000, inserts, 1 of 100, stamped ones. I'm all about it. Like, honestly, not even joking.
That's a tough one. I think I would probably go with Dragonair or Arcanine, just because those 2 have really good arts, and I think a full art of those 2 would be really cool.
Lord Pokesmoke says, Nick, my 401k is down 20% this year. Is your Pokemon retirement portfolio beating that?
Overall, yes, it is, definitely. But if you're comparing it to 2020, then no. But yeah, no, Pokemon is definitely the way to go. I would forget about 401k, stocks, all that stuff. Just go solely into Pokemon.
Nick with the financial advice. Every year, every month, I take money out of Pokemon and put it into traditional investments. That's what I'm doing. That's not advice for you or anyone. But I also, I have, at this point in my life, I have significantly more money. Way more of my net worth is in Pokemon than real estate or investments or like stocks, bonds, whatever. I'm still at that point where I, like, my business inventory is a significant portion of my net worth. Ancient Mew asked, did you grade any of that Harry Potter you and Jake opened? I did send some at 30. I also sent some at 18, so I'm going to get them back like kind of staggered, I think. I forget who it was. If you're in here right now, I have it marked to bring it to Denver. I have a stack of like 4 or 5 things I'm bringing to Denver that I don't remember who I'm bringing them for. So if you're watching this now, and if I'm supposed to bring something to Denver for you, DM me on Instagram and remind me. I don't know where I put my pile, but I have a Harry Potter card that someone wanted. Maybe it was Vandy. My recent giveaways, I have some MetaZoo promos I owe, like Brad. I have a poker card I'm bringing to the Green Shiz. But yeah, if we set up anything, just remind me so that I can remember to bring it. I hope I don't forget anything.
You said you were gonna give me your Pika trophy. You said
that's
bring
right.
that to Denver for me.
Yeah, I'll have that.
Awesome. Mm.
The Nintendo Direct is about to drop info on the new Mario movie. Awesome.
There's an original Mario movie?
I think next year there's a new Mario movie coming out.
Is there an original?
Super Mario? Yeah, there's a like Super Mario Brothers movie back in like the 80s or 90s. It's weird. It's not like animated. It's like real people. I vaguely remember it. We definitely had it on VHS, and I definitely watched it a couple times at least, but I don't really remember much of it. Rock Pokemon, hit him up.
I could not see that being a good movie.
Hit up Rock Pokemon on Instagram if you're going to Retro Game Con. And he said he'd do an event with me. So maybe coming to you in 2023, maybe Rock and I will try to set something up. I would love to, like, it's just a lot with like right now. Had I planned something, if Denver was this weekend, I don't know what would happen. Or if Denver was last weekend, my kid, like my son has pneumonia right now. He's almost out of it now. He's almost fully, but like last weekend, my son, pneumonia hit him hard. When you have kids that young, planning an event like that, it can be tough. Because like if Denver was 2 weekends ago, I probably wouldn't have been there. My wife certainly wouldn't have came along still. I probably would have been in trouble if I tried to go, or I'm hoping everyone's well for next weekend, because I plan to go and I don't want to be in trouble for it, and I don't want to leave a sick kid behind. And it's tough to plan events so far in the future when you've got little kids and stuff that get sick all the time. But we'll talk, and we'll talk in Denver, and we'll see about. I would just hate to like commit to something and then obviously kids are not like, things can come up in life, things can happen, and you can have to bail on something, which would be unfortunate. But I guess if we had a few of us in on it, that it would all pan out either way. Retro said, Dan said 90s country. Let's see the subs start dropping now. Here we go. Dan listens to Conway Twitty. Conway Twitty is like the vintage. That is like the super base set first edition. That's what my grandpa listens to. I'm not a big fan. That said, Johnny Cash got some good hits. George Strait made music for so long. George Strait bridged the gap between my grandpa and my country music. He put out so much music. Blazer OP says, what do you think Pokemon will do with all these leaks on sets coming out months before the set comes out and so much stolen product? Is there anything they can do? Absolutely. They can send their lawyers after people. They can investigate. They can fire people from their jobs. I think they like, it's a serious thing. I've seen a couple of Rattles videos. People see like, oh, these are big corporations. I don't care. Whatever. I'm stealing something from my job that was getting thrown away anyways. It's not real theft because they were going to throw it away. That stuff's all very serious. Like taking product that was meant to be destroyed and incinerated or discarded in whatever way. If you take that, that is theft. That is stealing intellectual property. That is releasing it beforehand. That is breaking, if not at least one law, if not more than one. Very, very bad. So my hope is that they pursue the individuals doing this stupidly from their job, fire them. I mean, arrest them, whatever they need to do to, because like it does take away a lot from, I mean, I don't seek it out. I don't seek out spoilers extensively, but to some extent it does take away from it. Like that's one thing I honestly like about MetaZoo. I had a spoiler on my channel, one card. I had a card, I spoiled one card. There's a handful of partners getting one card to spoil from the set. But when I go into Seance, I'm going to be opening it for like the first time, experiencing the whole set for the first time, as I did with UFO. It's harder to do in Pokemon because 95% of my business is Pokemon. More of the content I consume is Pokemon. But genuinely, that's one thing I like about MetaZoo. There's not a Japanese MetaZoo set 3 months earlier releasing all the chase cards, spoiling all the chase cards. Like that takes away a lot of excitement for me from the new Pokemon sets when I already know everything that's in it. That's part of the reason that
Yep.
contributes to why I don't mass open Pokemon product, because it's just not as exciting the way that it's set up. And that's for me personally. So yeah, I just hope they pursue people to the full extent of the law and crack down on it. I hope they rid, because it's not something we need.
I can't. I would love for that to happen because I can't stand all these super early leaks. I would much rather. I'm like you. I would much rather experience the set when I'm actually opening it. But I really can't see Pokemon doing that just because of how expensive it is. It's expensive to hire lawyers and do investigations and track down these people and stuff. And is it really for Pokemon to spend the money to actually do that? Until it becomes more of a problem than it is today, I don't think Pokemon would do anything about it.
Yeah, I hope they crack down on it more. It would be cool if Japanese and English released together so that like we didn't get so much spoilers. But if you don't want to see them, you can try to look away from them. But like I hang out in some Discords and some people put them up with spoiler tags, some people don't. Like the amount of Pokemon content I consume, there's no way I can get around seeing it. Like I'm always gonna see spoilers. There's no way around it. I do have to highlight some of these some of these jabs at me. G1T Landon says Dan's music taste is as bad as PK's beer taste. Manny says must have been all those NASCAR races you watched that inspired your taste in music. Thrifty said all Dan's exes live in Texas, confirmed. I didn't actually know this. I'm not a huge fan of Toby Keith at all, but Peak That Tree says Toby Keith is the highest paid live artist of all time and still is. He outsells everyone. That's crazy. I like some of his songs, but I don't know. Not a big fan.
Must have been those NASCAR
Yeah, like I said though,
sense.
I'm not a huge music person. Like a lot of people, like now that I have YouTube Premium and it's easier to do, and I have I only just recently got a car that easily, like, I can plug in my phone and it goes through and it does the Google Maps on the dash and it does all the music, and so I can more easily listen to YouTube in the car now. So I just do. I've been listening when I go on a drive. It's 15 minutes or less. It's just the radio. It's my local country station usually, but we have a good classic rock station too. But if I'm going for longer than 15 minutes, I always just put on whatever I'm listening to in my watch later on YouTube, because I always have a backlog of finance or Pokemon long form content. Here's a question. Are e-reader reverse hollows underrated / underpriced? I don't think so personally. Though I did. If you're interested in PSA 8, 9, and 10 Expedition reverse hollows, I did just list a large batch and I'll be listing more tomorrow on my eBay. If you think they're undervalued.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think they're cool, but I think they're properly valued. I can see them doing better in the long term than some of some other cards for sure.
What are your top 3 sizes of shipping materials, like boxes and bubble mailers? I use a lot of 6x9 bubble mailers, for example. So 98% of what I sell on my eBay are graded single cards. The 3 main things that I ship in are a quad 0, so 0000 padded envelope, a 00 padded envelope. I believe the sizes are 4x6 and 6x10 or 6x9. So I do one inside of the other, and then the third one that I do is like a small flat rate box. So if the value is high enough, if the value is over 750, I put them in those 2 envelopes with a cardboard sheet, fold it over, and then I do that inside of the box. I buy cardboard sheets that are like, I think they're 5.5 by 7 inches, and I fold this over around the slab just to protect it.
Yeah, I do. I would say pretty much the same. I use the 000 bubble mailers for like single cards.
You gotta go
packaged in
quad
between top
zero.
loaders.
You gotta go one more zero. Four
I
zeros.
don't like the quad zero. That's too small.
See, I need to do it because I nest it inside the double zero. The triple zero won't go in the double zero.
See,
I don't think.
I'll do the triple zero and then regular zero rated card.
Oh, yeah, I go quad and then double. That's the way to go. Quad, double. You go triple, single. That's questionable.
Yeah.
Sorry, Earth. Nick is using excess packing supplies unnecessarily.
So yeah, triple zero, single zero, small flat rate boxes is a big one, and then the eBay branded box, 6x4x4, I think is the one that I use a lot of. I think that's the size. It's the size that an ETB is. So it's basically one that you can fit an ETB in that. But I forget the exact dimensions. But I use that size for a lot of stuff.
I'm going to say real quickly, we're probably wrapped up on questions. We got a couple more here I'm going to grab, and then we're going to wrap in the next 5 minutes or so at 4:30. Would now be a good time in the market to buy common and uncommon cards for completing vintage binders? So very specific, very short-term advice towards Troll and Toad or Evo merchants. As of today, I can list singles all the way down to 20 cents, and I have a lot of singles listed for 20 cents. Starting next week, I believe it's the 13th, a week from today or maybe a week from tomorrow, the new floor price for singles as an Evo merchant. I think Troll and Toad will still list lower, but me as an Evo merchant, I can't go below 69 cents. So if you want to buy a bunch of cards for your binder, any card listed under $1, I've gone and I've set my whole store. Anything under $1, I set to 20 cents to just get rid of it, because I can't price sub 69 cents starting in a week or two. So now is actually a great time if you're buying from Troll and Toad specifically. If you're buying from TCG Player, I think it's always a good time to buy common and uncommon cards for binders because they're pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, 2020 pricing was a lot higher, but for the most part, pricing stays pretty consistent. So I would say now is to buy those types of cards. It's so funny that Evo chose 69 cents. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Yeah. Reek says, how important is multimedia for IPs to survive? New Mario movie trailer just came out from Nintendo. Looks awesome. I could see this movie really reinvigorating the interest for Mario at all ages. I think it's important. How important? Very hard to say. That's what your question was. So like, it's definitely important, but what percent, how much? It's hard to like, even if I had an idea, it's hard to like vocalize and say what that would be. But yeah, like kind of like having a Pokemon business selling on eBay, having an Instagram and a YouTube, they all feed together. Like not everyone on Instagram that follows me on YouTube nor buys from me on eBay, but some amount bleed across each. So same thing with multimedia in Pokemon or in Mario. Some amount of people who watch that movie are going to get in and buy the Mario Legos. Some amount are going to buy the Mario video games. Some amount are going to buy Mario backpacks for their kids. My son has a Mario backpack. But yeah, like the more things you're in, it all feeds, it all bleeds together. It all like helps each other out to some extent, I think. So it's great to be in a little bit of everything.
I got distracted with the chat there. Yeah, I think I would pretty much agree with what you said there. I think, yeah, the more frequent people can see your brand, the better off you're going to be. That's really the only thing I would add to that one.
Colt wants to know, what's your favorite beverage he can buy you in Denver?
I mentioned Blue Moon or Bacardi and Coke. Those are my two go-to drinks.
Mr. Walrus says, Dan, I got my sealed copy of a Game Boy Color. Can you begin pumping them up now? Yeah, I have one too. I went Kiwi. Going to the moon. You gave Colt your beverage. I think we have Pikachu sold one of his Skull Kids that he's always shilling. You got to get one of your Skull Kids signed so that way you can like do the Skull Kid shilling with the autograph shilling simultaneously.
There we go.
I think that's it. I think we're good to go. We just hit 4:30. The bell just rang for me, quitting time. So I'm happy to wrap it up there if you are. We still do have 59 watching. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us for today. If anyone's still here from Rusty's raid, or if Rusty's still here lurking, really appreciate that. Like, sub, affiliate links below, all that good stuff. Anything else to point people towards, Nick?
No. I think that was a good one.
I guess
Thanks
our guest,
everyone for hanging out, and hopefully
our guest
we'll see
one more time.
some of you guys. Oh yeah. For those of you who didn't miss it in the beginning, 2 weeks from now, after Denver Collecticon, we'll be having Old Card Shop Josh join us on the podcast. So if you guys have any questions for him specifically, or just general questions that you want us to talk about in the next stream, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section once the stream ends.
And Rusty still is lurking. We appreciate you, Rusty. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see. We have a whole section at Denver. Nick went and booked a whole section. Follow us on Instagram. We will definitely be posting as Denverneers when we're in Denver, where we're at. Come to our section. Come say hi. Like, we want to meet as many people as possible in Denver. Can't wait for that. Appreciate everyone hanging out. I see Oak just popped in, but yeah, Oak's here. We got to wrap up.
Go up at the last second, Oak.
It's been a great chat, everyone, but Oak is here, so we will catch you all later.